On a beautiful night for high school football in South San Antonio, Smithson Valley plays for its first 7-0 start since 2013 as they take on the South San Bobcats. Good evening and welcome to South San Stadium on the Rangers Network. Brant Freeman alongside former Ranger himself, Brian Hill, joining us here on the broadcast. Smithson Valley 6-0 this season off the heels of a 51-0 win over Clemens last week. And Brian, right now, Pops isn't doing too bad here in 2021.
No, they're off to a good start. And, you always want to, especially in district, get off to a hot start and kind of make everybody chase you. And that's exactly what they've done. And still got a lot of season left to play, but can't do any better than 6-0.
And again, Smithson Valley playing for its first 7-0 start since 2013. Standing in their way, a struggling South San team. The Bobcats come in winless on the year, 0-6. And they have been outscored in those 6 games, 234-13, in what has been a tough 2021 for South San. Playing on the home turf here tonight, as Clayton Amaya lines it up for the game's opening kickoff, we'll see South San on offense first. And this 27-6A matchup is underway, and the Bobcats will start at the 25-yard line. And you look at this Ranger defense, they pitched a shutout last week in the win over Clemens. They're holding opponents to under 11 points a game. Very impressive.
Yeah, and I think the most impressive thing, especially about last week, was the amount of 3-and-outs they got, which enabled, or made Clemens have to punt deep from when they're in their territory and let special teams take over. I can't remember the last time Smithson Valley had so many drives start offensively inside of opponent's territory already.
In fact, the Rangers held the Buffaloes to 4 yards of offense in the first half, just 92 for the game, and a dominant win over the Buffaloes. First play for South San is a run up the right side, and nothing there for the tailback, Francisco Orozco. The quarterback is Cameron Barone, a junior who is the son of the head coach, Phil Barone. And again, Brian, I'm sure you can relate to that dynamic.
Yeah, it's always fun getting to play for your dad, and I know that on the flip side of it, it's always fun coaching your kids as well. And so, you know at the very least that he's been around the game his whole life, and you know that he's probably got a pretty good grasp of that offense.
Again, South San has struggled offensively this year, just 13 points total. Dating back to last year, they've scored just 23 points over the last 13 games. A quick completion leads to a tackle for loss. Jackson Duffy in on the stop after the catch out of the flat made by Jorge Mendoza. And they'll actually give him some forward progress there. Short pickup of about 2, and it brings up third down.
Yeah, it was. He tried to initially come down here to the Ranger sideline, and Eggleston did a good job, and he was on top of it, so it made him go back across the field. It was a dangerous throw, throwing a 5-yard stop route way across the field, but he pulled it off.
Third down and 8. And you heard Brian reference all the 3-and-outs forced by the Rangers defense last week. Trying to do that here on the Bobcats opening drive. Here is Barone feeling some heat, and Barone taken down behind the 20-yard line. Diego Hamilton in on the sack for the Rangers, and for the team, their 28th sack this season.
Yeah, you could tell, again, another point of emphasis, getting a 3-and-out. Now you're making South San punt against the wind from about their own 19-yard line. So even if we don't get our hands on this as a returner, it's probably you're still going to be around midfield. But my guess is Clark or Bufitas is going to get their hands on it. We're going to get even better field position.
Braden Bufitas, a 66-yard punt return for a touchdown last week. He has 2 this year. This punt is blocked by Malachi Lane and has it for an easy touchdown. Now, there are penalty markers down. Let's see if Smithson Valley was offsides. You don't see a ton of celebrating on the Ranger sideline. This one's probably coming back.
Yeah, and usually when the line judge on the sideline throws it, then it's either someone lined up in the neutral zone or someone got an early start. So they're going to get 5 yards. We're still going to be 4th and 10. And I don't know. There looked like a couple guys that could have blocked that, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see another one.
Offside the call against Smithson Valley as expected. First penalty of the game against the Rangers. But South San will punt it again. Here's Roberts punting from his own 10. Good rush. The kick is away. And a short one As Smithson Valley will start at the South San 36 after a 7-yard punt for the Bobcats with 9:44 to go in the first quarter. Smithson Valley comes out on offense for the first time.
Yeah, and they were lucky to get that 7. I think the pressure made him try to pull it to the left to avoid it getting blocked, and he was able to get it away. But there's 2 or 3 Rangers, including De Hoyos there, that I think that if he'd have punted it straight on, would have got a hand on it again.
A Ranger offense coming off a 51-point effort in the win over Clemens last week. Mata's first play into the flat. Dylan Domel, who caught 2 touchdown passes last week, is close to a first down, and in fact, Domel has it on a gain of 11.
Yeah, when you run the ball so effectively like Smithson Valley does, anytime that you do a play action or a naked like that, then the defense has to respect it. And that time the backside tight end, Domel, just pretended like he was blocking for a little while, then wheeled out in the flats, and an easy pitch and catch for Mata. All
6 wins for the Rangers this year coming by 17 points or more, an average margin of victory of close to 30 points a game. First down, Mata's going to flip it to Bafinas. He's got blockers. Bafinas inside the 20. And close to another Ranger first down to the 16-yard line. And that'll bring up second down for Smithson Valley.
Nice little reverse there. You got your left tackle, Ty Stone out there in space. Pretended like he was pulling, then wheeled back around and became the lead blocker. And it's always your worst nightmare as a corner, seeing a guy that's about 6'5" running at you. Ty's very athletic, got out there and led block.
8:45 to go here in the first. Smithson Valley on the move. After a short punt, this drive began at the South San 36. Mata making his 5th start of the season on the rollout. Has a receiver inside the 5. And that was Zach McDonald. Has the catch for the Rangers, his 8th this year, and it's now goal to go. Gain of 12 there on the play for McDonald. And Smithson Valley now 5 yards outside the end zone. First and goal for the offense. Mata 2 for 2 passing so far on the drive. McCracken to the backfield. He's got it, and McCracken is tackled just short of the goal line.
Yeah, it looked like a little miscommunication there. I don't know whether South San hopped into some sort of different defense down there on the goal line, but we let a linebacker run free, and McCracken did a good job of kind of making a miss. The guy was able to fall in on the play, but McCracken, you know he's going to stick his foot and get north and south and at least get you a couple, even if it's not perfectly blocked.
Travis McCracken has scored in 4 straight games during that stretch, 8 touchdown runs, over 400 yards on the ground. In the backfield again, Mata's going to lead it in himself, and Smithson Valley is on top early. Derek Mata, his 2nd rushing touchdown. And the Rangers drive at a short field and cash it in.
Yeah, that's just the old quarterback sneak. That's one of the disadvantages you have of never being under center is, the old trusty, reliable play, the quarterback sneak. So Smithson Valley's figured out a way to just kind of run the same play, scoot the quarterback up just a little bit, have him lean forward and go, and basically it's just quarterback sneak but from the pistol.
After the point after, Clay Namaya. And Namaya able to put it through. 7.5 to go in the opening quarter. Rangers on top early over the Bobcats, 7-0 on the Rangers Network.
What brings you here too? Whoa. Well, I heard my wife talking to her friends that y'all work miracles, so I thought maybe you could do something with this.
We absolutely help women, children, and men, but I'm gonna have to call in the reinforcements.
Dermatology San Antonio can do this for me. Just think what they can do for you.
Smithson Valley's first offensive possession of the game is good for a 5-play, 36-yard touchdown drive ending on the 1-yard run by Derek Mata's second rushing touchdown this season. Trying to stay perfect as the Rangers starting quarterback. His record is 4-0. Was 6 of 10 passing last week, a couple of touchdown passes, both to the tight end Dylan Domel. And Brian, you brought this up earlier, that win last week over Clemens really set up by special teams and defense. A lot of short fields, more the same early on here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most like if you would have asked the Smithson Valley coaches what is the perfect blueprint to win a game, then it's good defense, solid offense that controls the ball, and special teams. And check last week. And like I said, I think 5 or 6 of Smithson Valley's drives started in plus territory last week, and that's a credit to the defense.
Timeout taken by Bobcats head coach Phil Barone. That is the first taken by South San. Again, coming off a winless 0-7 season last year, and the Bobcats have lost their first 6 games this season. And a lot of the losses are actually all of them lopsided. They've been outscored 234-13, and now outscored in the opening quarter 91-0. Overall, South San has lost 18 straight regular season games. The last win September 27th of 2019.
Yeah, and just talking with some of the coaches this week, that their coaches do a good job. Their kids play hard. They got good schemes. It's just, I think during pregame I counted 32 kids on the sideline, and so attrition rate over the season and a lot of kids having to play both ways really takes its toll.
Orozco, short pickup. In fact, back to the line of scrimmage, no gain there for Orozco, his second carry of the night. And Brian, you just said it, this is a numbers game. 6A football, your roster should be anywhere between 65 and 70 players, and South San's got about half that number.
Yeah, and it's tough because injuries are going to happen throughout the year. You know that you might lose a kid or two to grades, but then also you throw in COVID, and that could even hurt you. We don't know what's going on over there. They might have 10 kids that are quarantined right now, and so that makes it tough, and having to move guys around, play on both sides of the ball and stuff like that. So they're struggling right now, but they'll get it going because I think their coaching staff does a good job over there.
Here is Barone on the design quarterback run and wrapping him up. Malachi Lane is there for Smithson Valley, along with Gavin Woods. Another tackle for loss for this Ranger defense. 26 of those on the season coming in.
And those two guys you mentioned right there, that Smithson Valley's defense as a whole is playing fantastic, and there's a lot of guys that deserve a lot of credit. But those two guys right there, Malachi Lane and Gavin Woods, those two guys are kind of the treadstones of that defense, and they've been Gavin Woods on the D-line and Malachi at linebacker. Those two guys are really, really good football players.
Woods only a junior, leads his team in sacks and tackles for loss. Lane is a senior but plays both ways and could very well have college football in his future. But
he should.
Big time playmaker this year.
He should. I don't know who's all looking at him or if they're looking at him, but I know they dang well should be looking at him.
It's a good catch, but short of the first down on the grab, hauled in by Matthew Gonzalez. And that's going to bring up 4th down for South San.
That's a good throw by the quarterback. He had to put a little touch on it. Outside linebacker kind of got some width and got out underneath that out route, and he put some touch on it. Into the wind, far throw, an outbreaking route from the other hash. Really good throw, but unfortunately just for them it wasn't enough to get the first. And now they got a punt against the wind again with the Smithson Valley rush that has already blocked one that didn't count, but the second one pretty much blocked because it was a 7-yard punt.
A 10-mile-per-hour wind here tonight, 73-degree Friday night here in South San Antonio. Rangers again jump.
That might have been a false start.
That's going to turn it into 4th down and 2. Don't think that Phil Barone would roll the dice here and go for it on 4th down.
There was a lot of movement up front on South San. It might be a false start. I don't know.
And they'll move it up. Second Ranger flag of the night with 5:09 to go here in the first quarter. Again to punt, Ty Roberts. Last punt traveled only 7 yards. And taking a lot of time here. We're trying to locate the play clock here. Looks like it's turned off.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't find one that's working either, but
yeah, the play clocks right now are dark. And a timeout taken by Coach Barone. So that means that the officials on the field have to indicate to the players how much time there is on the play clock.
Yeah, and it's tough, especially when you're playing quarterback, because the white hat, which is the ref that's standing behind you, is the one that's making the signals. He puts his arm up in the air when it's 10 seconds, and he puts it out to the side when it's 5 seconds. But as a quarterback, you may or may not see that, and so you've got to kind of have that mental clock in your head, or when the play's coming in, say, hey, how much time do I have? But, yeah, I don't see a play clock around here anywhere, and so we'll keep an eye on that as the night goes.
They're positioned behind the goalpost, but neither one of them is lit up, so they must be inoperable right now. And Southside has to call for a timeout. These two are meeting for the second year in a row, and the Rangers won last year's game 48-0. It was the first time the two had met since 2001.
I wouldn't be surprised if South San goes for this. I mean, you're putting into a win. They've already blocked one, almost blocked two. It's 4th and 1. What do you got to lose? I think they're going to go for it.
And it's an option look here. Barone under center. He's going to keep it. Trying to force his way across the 35, and the Bobcats have the first down. Whistle finally blows across the 40-yard line, and the gamble pays off for South San.
Yeah, I mean, what do you got to lose? You know, I mean, I know numbers say don't do that. You're in your own territory, and it's early in the game and stuff, but you're already down 7. There's a good breeze blowing against you, and Smithson Valley has already shown that they are either going to block it or force you to get rid of it quick, so you might as well.
First down for South San with 4:15 to go here in the first. And Smithson Valley on top 7-0. Bobcats looking for their first quarter points of the season. A team that has not led this year. They've only scored 13 points in 6 games. This is Orozco to the outside. His best run tonight is good for about 4.
You know, and here in that first quarter, we've already had 2 Smithson Valley penalties, and those have been big penalties. The first one took a touchdown off the board. You know, that we eventually scored anyways, but we've had the block punt, and we scored there, and then that one made it from 4th and 6 to 4th and 1, and then they changed their mind and went for it. So, you know, not big penalties, 10 yards total, but as in terms of the game itself, they're really big penalties. And those are the type of stuff that you want to clean up before you get into late district and playoff games.
Second drive of the night for South San. On second down, Orozco again. Malachi Lane is there. And also flipping him over for a tackle there for the Rangers, Brock Whitaker. There is a penalty marker towards the end of the play.
We got a South San O-lineman without a helmet on, and so hopefully it's not a personal foul, hands to the face or something like that, but there was a South San O-lineman without a helmet on, so.
Now, the moment a helmet comes off, the player has to stop playing. But there it is, Brian. Good call. Hands to the face against Smithson Valley will gift the Bobcats another first down.
Yeah, not only is this giving South San just a little bit of momentum, but what you're doing also is they're taking some time off the clock here in this first quarter when South San's going against the wind. And so if they can kind of sustain a drive, even if they don't get points out of it, only down 7-0, and now you've got the second quarter going with the wind. And if you happen to get a stop on defense, make Smithson Valley punt against the wind. So, you know, penalties are costing the defense right now.
South San coming off a 37-0 loss to Judson, a game in which they only had 35 yards of offense. Smithson Valley coming off the shutout win over Clemens last week. Again, Barone taking his time, and there's a flag for a delay of game, but you can't really fault Barone there because, again, the play clocks are not operable while the officials are informing them of the time. This is not a practice the players are accustomed to.
Yeah, and I didn't see it on that one. I'll keep an eye out, but a lot of times when this is happening, the back judge, the one who is the offense is facing, he'll also give the signs. That way the quarterback can see it without having to turn around. But I didn't catch that, whether he did it that time or not. But, yeah, it's tough.
Now 1st and 15 in Ranger territory. Barone, long handoff. Orozco trying to get to the perimeter. Got cut off by Camden Egley. Short pickup there of a yard, and it's 2nd down and 14.
Good job by the safety. Egley coming downhill, you know, spilling it out to him running the alley, getting in there, making a tackle in open space. But going back to the play clock issue, it's obvious that South San's game plan is go late into each play clock, try to run the ball as much as you can and shorten this game, and it's working. There's only 1:45 seconds left in the first quarter, so they're going to try to run it all the way down, but now they've already, gone a little bit too far and gotten a penalty already on it.
Back to throw, and Barone is sacked, and the ball is loose and picked up by Smithson Valley, picked up by Jackson Maynard. There again, Malachi Lane on the pressure.
Malachi Lane and Gavin Woods, I think both of them hit him at about exactly the same time, and again, those guys right there, they're really, really good football players.
And Brian, you brought up a great point. It's a good and effective game plan for South San if they can execute it, and that is to short the game, minimize the number of possessions. The more possessions in the game, the better the odds are in Smithson Valley's favor.
Especially when you've probably got guys on your team that are going both ways. So you're trying to make just the overall plays in the game limited when you got guys going both ways.
Mata, incomplete pass for Kyler Clark on the first down play with 1:30 to go in the first, and Smithson Valley leading 7-0 on the Mata 1-yard touchdown plunge.
Yeah, those little hitch routes out there where you're just kind of catching it right at the line of scrimmage, a lot of times those are thought of as extensions of your running game. Those need to be high percentage throws, and that one just sailed a little bit. Now we got second and long, off schedule a little bit.
Mata hands to McCracken and got hit. Not long after taking the handoff on the tackle, Jacob Cifuentes, and Smithson Valley faced with 3rd down and long.
Yeah, when you get off schedule, you're thinking, hey, we're going to throw this hitch route out here, high percentage throw, and then at least get 5 or 6. Now 2nd and short, we can either take a shot or we're on schedule. When it's 2nd and 10, you run the ball, now you don't get much there. It really gets you off schedule.
Look for Domel in the slot. 3rd down at 8. Mata instead goes to McDonald, makes a move. He's got the first down. Flying down the sidelines and a first down for Zach McDonald before he's finally tackled on the play by Roger Zamora. Good 3rd down pass from Mata.
Yeah, and, plus territory. It might be thinking, hey, it's 4-down territory anyway, so let me throw this little stop route. And even if he gets tackled, it's only going to be 4th and 1, 4th and 2, but he did a great job of making a man miss and getting him more than that.
Gain of 13 yards there on 3rd down. First quarter winding down, final 50 seconds. This is McCracken. McCracken into the open field inside the 15-yard line. And that's good for another Ranger first down.
And for all the guys like me that played a long time ago, you love seeing that formation right there. It looks like a Smithson Valley 2001, something like that. You had 2 tight ends, a fullback, and a receiver just outside the tight end and playing smash mouth football.
First down, Rangers inside the red zone. 2nd possession of the game. McCracken again lowers his head inside the 10. And that's going to bring up 2nd down with 20 seconds to go.
Yep, same play, same formation, just the other way. Again, loading up the box, playing in a phone booth, and running downhill. They're going to let the quarter run out.
7 yards on that run by McCracken, and that will end the first quarter. Smithson Valley, with good defense and a successful offensive drive, lead at 7-0. Back with the start of the second quarter. After this on the Rangers Network.
Tonight's broadcast on Rangers Network is brought to you by GVTC, Fisher's Neighborhood Market, Ferris Orthodontics, Sage Capital Bank, Wick Productions, HEB, Smoky Moe's Barbecue, Dermatology San Antonio, Summerhill Dental, and Jeremy Fuller State.
Jeremy! Guys! That's who I'm on the phone with right now. Jeremy Fuller, my family State Farm insurance agent. Jeremy!
Start of the second quarter, first play, a walk-in touchdown. Dylan Domel had 2 last week. That one good for his 5th this season. And Smithson Valley, all of 7 seconds into the second quarter, take a 13-0 lead.
So they lined up in that formation, and they ran a little outside zone stretch play, 2 plays in a row, and got significant yards on it. So they line up in the same formation again, and now they do what you call a naked fake the zone, come back out the other way, and same play as the first play of the game. Domel wide open in the flats. Used to call that 5-wheel.
Extra point is good for Amaya with the win to his bag. So Derek Mata's 6th touchdown pass of the season. And for Dylan Domel, that is his 5th touchdown catch. Rangers on top, 14-0 with 11:53 to go here in the first half. Looking at the 27 6A standings, only 2 teams still unbeaten, Smithson Valley and Steele. Not only are they unbeaten in district play, unbeaten on the year. Both teams 6-0. Right behind them, Clemens and East Central each 2-1. The big surprise again, Brian, is that Judson is already 1-2, 2 losses already, and surprising losses given just how good the program has been. Losses to New Braunfels and Clemens for the Rockets.
Yeah, it is surprising, but they're still Judson, and they're still dangerous. And that program, that community, they got a lot of pride. And I would not be surprised to see them go on a run here and try to make a playoff push. Just because they started off a little slow doesn't mean that they aren't still a dangerous team with that history, the athletes they got over there, in that community pride and the expectations.
The Rangers will host the Rockets this coming Friday at Ranger Stadium. Remember, the top 4 get in. Smithson Valley's on the doorstep of yet another playoff appearance. It would mark the 26th since Larry Hill took over the program back in 1993. Amaya's kickoff high in the air. Fair catch called for and made will put the Bobcats at the 25-yard line, trailing 14-0. 11:52 to go here in the first half.
Yeah, they had a little bit, albeit some of it was penalty aided, but they had a decent drive, got out of their own territory, got around midfield last time, had a little bit of momentum going. Then obviously the big sack, fumble by Malachi and by Gavin Woods kind of stopped their drive. But, they started running the ball a little bit, and so now they got the win. Let's see if they stick with trying to grind it out and waste some time, or if they take some shots where they got the win at their back.
Here is Barone on first half with the 25-yard line. Bobcats' last possession went into Ranger territory. This is Orozco, and Tanner Donovan has the tackle after a short 3-yard pickup. Sun setting here in South San Antonio from South San Stadium. Lights on this beautiful mid-October Friday night. Smithson Valley playing for a 7-0 start. It would be their first since 2013, while the Bobcats are playing for their first win since 2019. Here is Barone on 2nd down and 7. Orozco in motion. Barone pressured. Little screen over the middle. First down and more for South San. That is Salinas. Has it up to the 40-yard line at a gain of 12. Good catch and run by Joseph Salinas.
Good play design there by South San. They had a couple wide receivers to the top side of the field, and they sent one of the running backs in motion, kind of got some eyes over there. And then with as aggressive and as talented and fast as the D-line is of Smithson Valley, throwing a screen in there, trying to slow them down a little bit. That was a good play call and good execution.
Salinas didn't play last week in the loss to Judson. The Bobcats trying to manufacture a drive, just 2 scoring possessions all year for South San. One against San Antonio Southwest, the other in the district opener against Clemens. First down, Barone drops the football, and Smithson Valley may have recovered another.
Back able to get it back.
Yeah, back at the South San 38, and it looks like Barone got back on it for the Bobcats.
Yeah, it was just kind of one of those snaps where, even though the offense is going with the wind, when the center snaps it backwards to that little knuckleball, kind of looked like it moved just a little bit and kind of hung up there, and wasn't a terrible snap where it went over his head or anything like that, but it just kind of died on him and went off the fingertips. And so now it's as good as the sack, and now you got 2nd and long, and now kind of they're off schedule a little bit.
Barone on 2nd down and 13. Steps up, slung down. Gavin Woods again. And the Bobcats are faced with 3rd down and long.
Did I mention that he's really good?
A few times, yeah. Brian, yes.
He's really good.
Really made his mark as a sophomore last year. He and Trey Moore made for a great tandem at defensive end. Moore now playing for UTSA.
Thing about Gavin is he's tall, and so to have that size, but also with the quickness and the body lean that he does, it makes it really hard for tackles to set deep enough. And with that lean, he's a matchup nightmare for everybody.
Smithson Valley bringing a blitz. Pass is intercepted. Jackson Maynard takes it back for a pick 6. There is a flag back where Barone was hit. This again could come back and would take another Ranger touchdown, not offensive, off the board.
Yeah, I don't have a luxury of a replay, but it looks like it's going to be roughing the passer, which I don't really understand. It was a screen. He's backpedaling, and we kind of just pushed him as soon as he threw it. But, yeah, roughing the passer.
And, Brian, I'm sure you had many talks with your dad when you were playing and the team was having all that success and making deep runs into the postseason and district championships, that even in success there comes coachable moments. And one of the black marks for the Rangers so far in the game has been penalties, now 4 for 40 yards.
Yeah, and especially, in a game like this where you're heavily favored and stuff like that, you want to come out and you want to play sharp. You want to make sure that that you're staying disciplined and not creating bad habits. And again, that wasn't necessarily something that I think was malicious or something that they need to make corrections on or anything like that. It was just a kid hustling and playing hard, thinking he was about to get a sack, and just kind of pushed the quarterback as soon as he let it go. I'd have to see the replay, but I don't really think that was that bad.
1st down near midfield now for South San. Barone on the draw with the flag in. Malachi Lane, another punishing hit. But more laundry to sort out on the field here.
We had the line judge on our sideline throw one, so that either means one of two things: offsides on the defense or illegal formation, not enough guys on the ball for the offense. And then the back judge, or the white hat, threw one, which is usually in the area of holding. So it's either going to be double penalties on South San or offsetting would be my guess.
There is the illegal procedure against South San decline. And there's the chop block. So as Brian predicted, 2 offensive penalties against the Bobcats. This one good for 15 yards. Second flag against South San. Marches the football back at the Bobcat 34 to make it 1st down and 25.
So you trade 15-yard penalties, but again, at the same time, that last one took points off the board a little bit with the. They got him with the screen the first time to get a big 1st down for South San, and then Smithson Valley kind of made an adjustment and, they tried to come back with a screen again, and those D-line were like, wait a second, I'm not getting blocked. There might be a reason for that, and they slammed on the brakes and were able to intercept it. Unfortunately, it didn't count, but that was a good adjustment by the defense.
8:14 to go in the half. 14-0 Rangers on top. Barone pressured and taken down once more. Doug Lance, sophomore defensive lineman, the sack back at the 27-yard line. And now the Bobcats need 30 yards plus to move the chains.
Yeah, Lance, just a sophomore. You see him playing DN. Also see him running the ball, and young guy, but coming in having a huge impact on the varsity, and got pressure on both from both defensive ends there, with Woods coming from one side and Lance coming from the other, and he was able to finish it off for a big sack. And like you said, it's 2nd and a mile.
2nd down and 32 here for South San. And now again, if you're the Bobcats, odds of extending this drive are small. Use some clock, shorten the game. And it looks like Phil Barone is going to call his 3rd and final timeout. And it comes with 7:10 to go here in the first half, with the Rangers on top 14-0. Smithson Valley again hosting Judson next week, and for the Rangers, not many games left in the regular season. After tonight, just 3 games left for Smithson Valley. back-to-back home games the next 2 weeks, the Rockets and the Hornets.
Yeah, it's going to be a good atmosphere next week at Judson. Like we talked about earlier, Judson, as far as record goes, is a little bit down this year, but it's still Judson. And anytime you play Judson, it's going to be a big game, and getting to play them at home is always fun, and got to come out ready to play, and because they're going to bring it. Because they've either I haven't seen all the different scenarios, but they either got to win the rest of them or kind of finish the last with only one loss, and so they're going to be geared up, ready to come into Ranger Stadium and play a good game.
Yeah, Judson not a program accustomed to needing help for getting in, but that's going to be the case for the Rockets this year. After the timeout, second down at 32. Barone blindly throws that pass incomplete. Took a shot from Gavin Woods, and it brings up third down.
Looks like we're going to have defensive pass interference, even though the ball was 20 yards over his head.
Well, the ball went to the middle of the field, and there wasn't any receiver close to where the ball was thrown. Well, let's see.
There was a South San receiver that got jammed about 5 yards into his route. The ball had not been thrown yet, but I think they're going to call either pass interference or defensive hold here.
Pass interference, automatic first down for the Bobcats. That's now 3 15-yard penalties in the game for the Rangers, although this is a spot foul here.
Yeah, and it comes on 2nd and 27, too. And so that not only is 15 yards big, but the automatic first down when you would think that the Ranger defense was about to be able to get off the field with the 3rd and 27. So some penalties that are extending some drives here. But I'll tell you what, Rangers are getting pressure right now on the quarterback with just a 3 or 4 man rush, and they're not having to bring linebackers or any type of blitzes to get pressure, and so that allows you to drop into the rest of everybody else in the coverage. And when you can get pressure with just the front guys, it's a good thing.
Barone himself on the zone read and got dumped over at the 45 after a 4-yard pickup. Amari McKenzie tackled here for the Rangers. Had a big game last week in the win over the Buffaloes. Again, 51-0 for the Rangers in that win over the Buffs, a program that had gotten the better of the Rangers for so many years. Smithson Valley's now beat them handily in back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, again, Clemens is always one of those ones when you talk about the district that we're in. Smithson Valley, Steele, Clemens, Judson, New Braunfels, those are always kind of the hallmark ones. And anytime you can get a win against any of those guys, it's a good feeling.
Second down, Barone again on the quarterback keeper and got wrapped up short of midfield. Brock Whitaker on the tackle there for the Rangers, and it brings up third down.
And again, you can kind of see South San's game plan coming into fruition a little bit. Only 6 minutes left until halftime, and Smithson Valley's had two offensive possessions.
Two possessions.
They scored
so
on both
far.
of them. It's 14-0, but at the same time, only having 2 possessions in the first half, and a lot of South San's offensive possessions being extended by penalties or something that have to clean up.
Third down and 5. Here is Barone to the air, and it's caught right at the sticks by Tony Lopez. And I think he has it up for the first down. And he does. First down, Bobcats as they convert on 3rd and 5.
It's a good throw by their quarterback. Cameron Barron, it's a good throw by him, especially with all the pressure that he's been getting here in the first half. He's been getting hit on just about every play, but for him to take a 3-step drop in rhythm and hitch up and deliver a good ball for a big third down for a big conversion on 3rd down kind of shows his toughness a little bit.
Remember, the Rangers thought they had a pick 6 earlier in this possession. It was wiped off because of a roughing the passer call. Tack onto that a pass interference call on 3rd down and long, and the drive continues. Orozco on first down squeezes ahead inside the 45 on a good first down play for 5 yards.
And there's another play where they ran the play clock all the way down to about 3 seconds. I'm looking at the back judge there, and he put his hands up, which indicates 10, put it to the side, which indicates 5 seconds left, and then about 2 seconds later they snapped it. And so they're doing what they want to do. They're shortening the game and running that play clock way down.
4:25 to go in the quarter. Smithson Valley leading 14-0. Now 2nd down and 5. Barone to Orozco again, and there's Gavin Woods and McKenzie. Throwing him back for a loss of 4 yards. Will bring up 3rd down and long for the Bobcats. And Brian, you think about this game in terms of game time with 4 minutes to go. This game is only 20 minutes in game time, but in actual time, only a little more than 40. It's rare to have that 2-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, you have two teams that are accustomed to running the football, and Smithson Valley's running the ball and having completion, so the clock hasn't really stopped in the few possessions they've had. And South Sand's running the ball and extending drives, albeit with a couple penalties and stuff, but running the play clock all the way down. And Coach Hill must have been thinking the same thing you are, because he wants to get the ball back with some time, and so he uses his first timeout to kind of make sure that the clock stops right where it is to ensure that we got enough time to at least get one more possession here.
That's right. Timeout taken by the Rangers. We went through the Smithson Valley schedule earlier. That last game of the season could very well dictate who wins the district championship. And more importantly, whoever wins that could avoid playing in Austin Westlake in the second round, potentially either Steele or Smithson Valley.
Yeah, and that's good for us to talk about and the fans and everybody else, but I guarantee you those guys down there and those coaches are keeping them focused one game at a time. When the Steele game gets here, the Steele game gets there. They're focused on South Sand this week, and I guarantee you they'll be focused on Judson next week. And once that game comes, then we can all start talking about it.
3rd down and 9. Barone fires it deep. It's caught, and a first down, but a flag is in. Up to the Ranger 35. The catch made by Robert Barnes, but this might come back.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but obviously the refs did, because there's 2 flags right there, so they must
It's a hold.
And again, a good concept by South Sand. I mean, you look at them on film and talk to the Smithson Valley coaches. They have good schemes. They got kids that play hard. Been on the wrong side of things recently, but that was kind of what they call post rail, getting a running back out of the backfield matched up on a linebacker. And again, good job by their quarterback to stand in there even though he's about to get hit and deliver a good ball.
Cameron Barone has been the focal point of the offense for the Bobcats, their quarterback and leading rusher as well. Responsible for the 2 touchdowns the Bobcats have this year, as Larry Hill calls for a second timeout.
Yeah, that penalty, it's good that we got it because it would have given them a first down. But as you know, they replay the down and then the clock starts on the, when the referee blows it in. And so called another timeout to stop that clock. Usually you could tell if he's calling a timeout out of frustration because there's a personnel penalty or something like that. I don't think that was the case. I think they were about to run the clock again and South Sand was going to get a fresh play clock, and he didn't want it running down that far, again, giving his offense a chance to get another possession here before half.
Larry Hill, 29th season now at Smithson Valley, sitting on 271 career wins and playing for 272 tonight, and more importantly, 7-0 this season. As the Bobcats come out facing 3rd down and 19 after a holding penalty wiped out a first down play. Here's the blitz. Barone heaving it deep. Eggleston, good coverage down the field. And a flag comes in. Late. Intended receiver down the field, Jaden Serta. It looked like Serta maybe tripped on his own feet, but this could again extend the drive for South Sand.
Yeah, you said it. Late. That flag came very, very late. Eggleston was in position. He's running right next to him. And even, I don't think there was pass interference. Of course, I'm a little biased, but I don't think there was pass interference. And even if there was, that ball was 8 yards past him. Uncatchable ball anyways. But again, another penalty to extend a drive. And Smithson Valley's already called 2 timeouts to try to get that ball back. And now if I'm South Sand, I'm taking up, even if I don't get any points on this drive, I'm taking up as much time as I possibly can because Smithson Valley's effectiveness on offense, and they get the ball coming at a half. And they should probably get the football off the field down by the goal line that they just threw that's still on the field.
There's still 3:55 to go in this half, but if you're South Sand and you told the Bobcats at this point it would only be a 2-possession game, they would have taken it.
For sure.
from the Ranger 42 after another first down via penalty. This is a jet sweep play for the Bobcats, and the Rangers see a lot of that in practice. Tanner Donovan on the tackle of Matthew Gonzalez for a loss on first down.
Good pursuit. That fly sweep, getting everybody running. Good job by the defensive end, kind of setting the edge, not letting the guy get around, and then everybody was pursuing. Donovan coming downhill from a safety position, making a tackle for loss. And again, we got a second and long here, but again, the clock's moving, and so I think they would, like you said, they would take that. As long as that clock's moving, they're not in any hurry.
Another negative play forced by this Ranger defense. Total yards in the game, I don't think the Bobcats are in positive territory. In fact, you look at the numbers, and South San actually has just a little more than 30 yards of offense. That pass almost intercepted. Double coverage against the receiver, Matthew Gonzalez, almost picked off by Andrew Montalvo.
Yeah, he was the corner in that position, kind of trailing the outside receiver who was running a go route, and the inside receiver kind of ran a flag or a bender 10-yard out. And once he saw the ball in the air, he came off his coverage on the corner and almost had a pick there. But at least it's an incompletion, stops the clock if you're Smithson Valley for your chances to get the ball back and one more time before half.
3:01 to go until halftime. Rangers only 2 possessions so far in the game, and neither one were long, lengthy drives. Top of possession dominated by South San. Safe call here, Orozco on the run up to the 41-yard line to bring up fourth down.
Yeah, they were probably thinking, Smithson Valley thinks it's a passing down. Let's see if we can hand this thing off and get a good chunk. It being in plus territory, see if we can make it a fourth and manageable so that we can go for it. Don't think they got enough. I think if this would be 4th and 3, 4th and 4, 4th and 5, they might think about going for it. But now it's 4th and 11. I think they're going to try to go ahead and punt this away.
Smithson Valley in punt safe here. Their usual returners, Bafidis and Clark, not back deep. Those are 2 defensive backs for Smithson Valley back at the 15. And the punt in the air, fielded at the 10 and to be returned. And a good tackle, but there is a flag, and did the defender go low? On the tackle there for the Bobcats was Joseph Salinas. Ranger returner couldn't quite get a number. I think it was David DeHoyos, but
yes.
Did the defender go low?
I think it was DeHoyos. I think they're going to get us for a block in the back. Saw the South San guy actually made the tackle. I think they're going to say he was pushed into the tackle. So.
And they are moving the football back inside the 15-yard line, down at the 14. Smithson Valley has racked up 80 yards in penalties in this first half, but they lead it 14-0, 2:05 to go until halftime.
Yeah, you want to try to get a good chunk here, make sure that you get it at least, somewhere closer to midfield so you can really start going here. So
Mata couldn't handle the snap well, and this will go down as a loss. Coming in to make the tackle for the Bobcats was Jesse Arocha and Ethan Vea. Boy, now you got to think about the 2-minute drill if you're Smithson Valley's offense.
Yeah, again, I think they want to at least kind of get one first down, kind of get the momentum going a little bit, because what you don't want to do is go 3 and out, throw 3 completions, and now you got to punt it against the wind and give them a short field. So you kind of want to get a first down before you start getting into that mode.
Malachi Lane, the running back here on second down. It's a fake to him. Mata launching that for Hunt, incomplete, stops the clock on third down now and 12 with 1:26 to go.
A good route, running what we call a little drive route, about 14-yard out route. Half rolled the quarterback over there. Again, if he was going to miss, that's where you want to miss, out to the sideline. Either your guy get it or nobody, just a little bit out of his reach. So now it's interesting. Do you try to go throw it for the first down, or do you kind of run maybe like a little draw here or something like that, see if you get it, and then maybe go into 2-minute mode?
Keep in mind, South San cannot stop the clock, out of timeouts. This is a play fake. Mata over the middle, tipped in, almost intercepted. Robert Barnes was right in the passing lane, and Smithson Valley, not a good possession. A mishandled snap, back-to-back incompletions, and they'll punt it away.
Yeah, it all started with that first down play. You know, you want to, again, we talk about staying on schedule or getting that first down, and now you can start thinking about using your last timeout, or you can think about going 2 minute and stuff like that. But that first bobbled snap, when now it's second and 13, 14, now it kind of just puts you off pace a little bit.
2 returners deep for the Bobcats, Roger Zamora and Matthew Gonzalez. Osorio gets it away. Line drive, takes a Ranger bounce, still going. And inside of midfield with 1:11 left here in this lightning quick first half. Smithson Valley typically the team that wins a field position battle, but on that exchange there, Brian, the Bobcats win it this time.
Yeah, South San was able to get out of their own territory, but with the aid of some penalties. And then they punted it down, and then Smithson Valley kind of went backwards a little bit with that first bobbled snap, and then now that forced them to Smithson Valley to punt back against the wind, which is always tough. And so this is South San's best starting field position by far. But like you said, they have no timeout, so they either got to move quick or get out of bounds.
Barone on first down. And this is a run. Orozco, Malachi Lane meets him. Back at the 47 for a loss of 2.
And again, with that play call, you kind of see South San's mentality. Okay, you get the ball at the 50-yard line. You still got a minute left, only down 2 possessions. Man, let's go try to get a good play. They hand it off and they run it, and you could tell they're kind of just ready to get to half down only 2 scores. They don't want something bad to happen that can, get the Rangers juiced up going into the locker room. So they're taking their time and probably going to just run it one more time and let this half run out.
The sun is barely set, yet here we are on the verge of halftime. Not even 8 o'clock yet. The game not even an hour old. Second down. Orozco, no, it is Barone, and sifts his way forward for a couple on what could be the final play of the half.
Yeah, their coaches are calling them over, taking their headsets off and stuff like that. They're happy getting in the locker room only down 2 scores.
Smithson Valley has all of 3 first-half possessions, one of them a 3-and-out, but the other 2 good for touchdowns. And at the end of 2, the Rangers on top, 14-0. Halftime coverage coming up. You're watching Smithson Valley High School football on the Rangers Network.
Just witnessed is a classic case of Snack-a-Crack-a-Toothus.
The surprising moment when enjoying a tasty treat turns into months of restorative dentistry. Lucky for Coach Worstifer, at Summerhill Dental, we offer same-day crowns and, if need be, 3D guided implants to fight Snack-a-Crack-a-Toothus, one Ranger at a time.
Welcome to Slide Talk. I'm Andrew Kim, Superintendent of Schools for the Comal Independent School District. Joining me today is our CFO, Crystal Hermish, to talk about our voter-approved tax ratification election coming up in November the 2nd. So, Crystal, explain to me in very simple terms, what is a voter-approved tax ratification election?
So a TRE is required by the legislature anytime you want to raise your tax rate above the minimum tax rate.
Okay, so the increased tax rate would only affect the operating budget that we use to pay our teachers and staff. I hear that we actually have the lowest pay for teachers and staff in the area. Is this true?
This is true. Our first-year teachers, as well as our 15-year teachers, have the lowest pay compared to other districts in this area. Additionally, our bus drivers, custodians, and paraprofessionals are among the lowest paid. Over the last 10 to 15 years, employees received a 2 to 3% pay increase. But other years, the district relied on one-time bonuses for employees. So our compensation did not increase at the same rate as other districts in the area.
I see. So how are we going to fix this so we can keep bringing in great teachers to our school district while also keeping all of our teachers and staff here for our kids?
With approval of the VATRE, we are proposing our teachers and professional staff receive a 3% increase this year, and our auxiliary staff, such as bus drivers, custodians, and others, will receive a $1.50 per hour increase.
So with all the growth around here with students, we're adding 1,000 kids a year. As a result of that, more kids means more revenue. Shouldn't that be enough to pay our staff and teachers in a raise per year within our regular budget?
So the new funds generated by new students in the district is enough for us to hire the new teachers for those new students and to operate our schools, but it's not really generating enough revenue to also offer compensation.
I see, so it's one or the other.
Correct. That's the decision the district's been faced with lately.
Now, what I don't understand though is then as property values go up, because what I get asked a lot at the local grocery store is that, hey, you have a lot of new property now and you must have a lot of money, but what I'm hearing is that that's not the case.
No, that isn't the case. In fact, part of House Bill 3 that was passed in 2019 compresses the district's tax rate as those property values go up. So as values grow up in the district, the rate decreases and somewhat puts the district on a fixed income.
So you're telling me that the legislature basically has said that if you need more money to operate, especially for us because we have more staff, we have more teachers, we have to pay them better. If we want to do that, we have to ask the voters for an election to do that. And that's why we're here talking about a voter-approved TRE.
Correct. Voters are essentially being asked to approve a 1.63 cent increase on the tax rate over the prior year's tax rate.
So now what also concerns me, once we propose to pass this Proposition A, TRE, does that mean that the tax rate will continue to go ahead and stay high or keep on going up, or how does that work?
So even with this TRE, it's a one-time increase. We'll still maintain that somewhat fixed revenue, and in order to do that, the tax rate will continue to go down.
Well, I really appreciate you joining me today. Appreciate all the work that you're doing. I do want to remind everybody, as part of the slide talk, that early voting begins on October the 18th and will proceed through October 29th, with Election Day on November the 2nd. Please make sure that you have updated your voter registration cards. If you haven't done so, you have until October the 4th. Once again, thank you for joining the slide talk with me today about VATRE.
What brings you here to? Whoa.
Well, I heard my wife talking to her friends that y'all work miracles, so I thought maybe you could do something with this.
We absolutely help women, children, and men, but I'm gonna have to call in the reinforcements.
Dermatology San Antonio can do this for me. Just think what they can do for you.
Hey Fuller, does your dad insure this?
No, but if it was a car, you would.
Hey Fuller, what about this?
No, but if it was your parents' house, you would. Okay, listen. If it's auto, home, life, or business, my dad can insure it.
Ugh.
Let's go Rangers!
Bob, welcome back. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
You're my first Comal cruising back from the pandemic.
All right.
Yeah, so welcome. And what a great topic to start off our new series of Comal cruising, but to talk about growth and the growth in our area when it comes to construction, housing market, and you name it, student enrollment. But Bob, just to kind of get all of our constituents out there and those who are watching this. It's probably maybe a couple people, by the way, who knows. But Bob, what do you do for our school district? And yeah, why don't you explain to our viewers out there what you do?
Sure. Well, Templeton Demographics is a consulting firm, and we specialize in helping fast growth school districts by doing very detailed housing research, and we turn that housing research into enrollment projections so that we can help the school district plan when and where to build schools so they can understand how fast their enrollment is going to be growing.
Well, I'll tell you what, certainly when this past year, the pandemic year, COVID year, I guess, whatever we're calling that, I was quite frank with you. I think we talked about this. I thought we're going to have a pause. We're going to have a sort of a pause in growth of enrollment of students, so I was worried about that in some sense, but maybe in some sense I thought that we'll get a little break, a year's worth of break of not having increased enrollment so that we can kind of maybe catch up to some degree. But unfortunately or fortunately, that's not the case.
That's true, and it was a very unusual year in so many ways. In fact, a year ago, we thought that the housing market could slow because of concerns with the economy.
That was 2019-2020 school year.
Yes, and so...
Or 2020-2021 school year, I should say.
Yes, and all the signs were, when you looked at the unemployment rate shot up over 13%.
Right.
And normally, we would see a slowdown in housing.
Right.
But not this time. We actually saw the opposite. We saw an increase in housing activity during the past year.
Which during the pandemic year?
During the pandemic year.
Yeah, what do you attribute that to, Bob? I mean, just out of, I don't know, it seems kind of contrary to what was happening other places perhaps in the country and our state, maybe.
There's a couple of factors that probably helped facilitate that. And one of those was with we did see an increase in virtual learning. Well, we saw a big increase in remote work.
Sure.
So a lot of families were able to kind of pivot, and that might have been in apartments were thinking, wow, I need to get into a house with more space. And so we did see a real movement that happened from those younger families to get into housing. Also, the affordability at the time was good. The interest rates were low.
Right. Not anymore, but...
The interest rates are still okay, but the cost has gone up due primarily to the inflation on materials and labor.
You also attribute the migration of those from outside the state coming to Texas, specifically around here, of course, Central Texas, Hill Country, Comal ISD. We see on the ground, talking with our principals as they enroll new parents, new students into our schools, majority of them, a good number of them are coming from places like California and other places.
That's so true. Texas has had a really good year in terms of corporate relocations, and especially tech jobs in the Austin area. And the Comal School District is close enough to Austin that some of the families that live in Comal are likely working in Austin. They're also working in San Antonio. And so the big boom has been Austin has been the focal point for Texas with the Tesla, Oracle, Samsung expansions. And, it's just really putting the bullseye on Central Texas.
Yeah. Bob, welcome back. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
You're my first Comal cruising back from the pandemic.
All right.
Yeah, so welcome. And what a great topic to start off our new series of Comal cruising, but to talk about growth and the growth in our area when it comes to construction, housing market, and you name it, student enrollment. But Bob, just to kind of get all of our constituents out there and those who are watching this, it's probably maybe a couple people, by the way, who knows. But Bob, what do you do for our school district? And yeah, why don't you explain to our viewers out there what you do?
Sure. Well, Templeton Demographics is a consulting firm, and we specialize in helping fast growth school districts by doing very detailed housing research, and we turn that housing research into enrollment projections so that we can help the school district plan when and where to build schools so they can understand how fast their enrollment is going to be growing.
Well, I'll tell you what, certainly when this past year, the pandemic year, COVID year, I guess, whatever we're calling that, I was quite frank with you. I think we talked about this. I thought we're going to have a pause. We're going to have a sort of a pause in growth of enrollment of students, so I was worried about that in some sense, but maybe in some sense I thought that we'll get a little break, a year's worth of break of not having increased enrollment so that we can kind of maybe catch up to some degree. But unfortunately or fortunately, that's not the case.
That's true, and it was a very unusual year in so many ways. In fact, a year ago, we thought that the housing market could slow because of concerns with the economy.
That was 2019-2020 school year.
Yes, and so...
Or 2020-2021 school year, I should say.
Yes, and all the signs were, when you looked at the unemployment rate shot up over 13%.
Right.
And normally, we would see a slowdown in housing.
Right.
But not this time. We actually saw the opposite. We saw an increase in housing activity during the past year.
Which during the pandemic year?
During the pandemic year.
Yeah, what do you attribute that to, Bob? I mean, just out of, I don't know, it seems kind of contrary to what was happening other places, perhaps, in the country and our state, maybe.
There's a couple of factors that probably helped facilitate that. And one of those was with we did see an increase in virtual learning. Well, we saw a big increase in remote work.
Sure.
So a lot of families were able to kind of pivot, and that might have been in apartments were thinking, wow, I need to get into a house with more space. And so we did see a real movement that happened from those younger families to get into housing. Also, the affordability at the time was good. The interest rates were low.
Right. Not anymore, but...
The interest rates are still okay, but the cost has gone up due primarily to the inflation on materials and labor.
You also attribute the migration of those from outside the state coming to Texas, specifically around here, of course, Central Texas, Hill Country, Comal ISD. We see on the ground, talking with our principals as they enroll new parents, new students into our schools, majority of them, a good number of them are coming from places like California and other places.
That's so true. Texas has had a really good year in terms of corporate relocations, and especially tech jobs in the Austin area. And the Comal School District is close enough to Austin that some of the families that live in Comal are likely working in Austin. They're also working in San Antonio. And so the big boom has been Austin has been the focal point for Texas with the Tesla, Oracle, Samsung expansions. And, it's just really putting the bullseye on Central Texas.
Yeah. Well, so what's your outlook here, looking at the crystal ball that you do look at, for the upcoming year, which is the 21-22 school year?
Well,
post-pandemic year, of course.
Yes. It's interesting because for the last 5 years, every year has been a record-breaking year for new home construction.
Right.
5 years ago, we were doing, 1,600 homes a year.
Right.
We're now going to be doing 2,800 homes for this year. And it's possible that we could be seeing more than 3,000 homes per year within the not too distant future. So 2021-22,
right,
that school year will be another record-breaking year for new home construction. And then we're going to have a record-breaking year for enrollment growth.
The old adage about availability of water, infrastructure, you're talking about these are homes that are already ready to go with all of that stuff ready to go.
That's true. These are subdivisions and communities that have already been platted and permitted, and they're active.
Yeah.
And so you've got about 2,800 vacant developed lots that are on the ground ready for builders to build on today.
Yeah.
There's another 2,800 lots that are in development that will be delivered within the next, say, 6 to 10 months. And those lots have already been gone through the infrastructure pipeline, so the utilities are available for those that are already in development.
You know, as we're cruising around Comal ISD here, obviously this is the series that we're relaunching here. You know, the construction and the traffic issues, a lot of density of home development, especially in this area that we're going to be driving through right here. Where are these folks migrating from? I mean, is it still going to keep on, pretty robust here for the next few years? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, there is still a migration coming from California. In fact, I live in the Marble Falls area, and I've met 2 new neighbors that have recently moved from California.
I have many.
And it is the relocation of jobs, it's the cost of living in Texas, and it's a multiple of factors that are causing the migration. We're also seeing it from the Northeast, the Chicago area,
the
Midwest, and so Texas is just it's still the fastest growing state in the country. We'll see that again when the 2020 census is released, that Texas will be, the fastest growing state again.
The comparison of our school district, who's also, I figure, as we talked about in the past, we're probably in the top 5, if not in the top 3 fastest growing in the state of Texas, I would think.
That's true. And, we work primarily with fast growth districts. The closest one that has similar housing and similar geography would be the Denton School District.
Is that right?
They're pretty big, but they're not as big geographically as you are.
They're not. We're 589 square miles there, Bob.
That's right. And you've got growth in multiple areas. So it almost feels like you're the equivalent of 4 school districts.
It does feel like that. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to be sorry in talking about it, but it's like running 4 different types of school district.
Yes.
Here in Comal School District.
You've got the 281 corridor, the Smithson Valley corridor, the I-35 corridor, and the Canyon Lake area. So easily you can kind of geographically see 3. Then Garden Ridge could almost be a 4th area.
Well, and like you said, though, you're right. What we see on the ground is that growth is happening in all those areas you just mentioned. So it's not just in one particular area. It's all over the place.
That's right.
And that makes it really more complex. Have you ever seen something like that in your career?
No, you're pretty unique. Like I said, the closest one is Denton. Now, Prosper is building as many homes, but they're not as big geographically.
They're not.
They will run through their building cycle in about 8 to 10 years.
Is that right?
You're going to be growing for 25 years or more. There's that much land here. And when we look at some of the future developments that we're watching, these are big, massive master plan developments that are in the works.
Yeah, the demand seems to be there, meaning the buyers. Certainly parents with kids, young kids, who are looking for, hopefully, what they will consider us to be a great school district to invest a large dollar amount of money to buy a home these days, compared to my first starter home back in the day. And so I think that has a lot of things. But you're right. I think the supply chain issue, construction prices are going up quite a bit right now.
That's true. The lower the price point, typically the younger the family. So we see more elementary kids from those homes that are priced below $250,000. That's actually maybe moving up to $300,000.
I know. It's hard to find a price point of that low nowadays.
It is. So then when you get above $450,000 and you get into $450,000, $600,000 range, we tend to see middle school age kids. And some high school.
And I think one of the things I talk about with our school board as well as our taxpayers out there is that we are not trying to build, if we're only growing at the high school level, I don't think we need to go ahead and build, let's say, new schools, because they're going to age themselves out. But what we're seeing right now, I think the information that you provided us over the years, is that we're growing elementary students.
That's true. Yes. Well, the enrollment growth is looking like it could be at about 1,500 to 1,800.
You got to be kidding me.
Additional students, yes.
Because we typically hover around 900 to 1,000 kids from a year changeover, Bob. So you're now saying somewhere around that number, which is actually a little scary to me. I'm serious.
1,500 to 1,800.
Is that right?
Yes.
Are you really saying that?
I'm saying that.
Wow.
And it's partially the COVID return.
Yeah.
Because we did, even though you did grow at a good number, you still had some families that
absolutely.
Didn't participate at those younger grade levels. I'm talking pre-K kindergarten.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be a surge of pre-K kindergarten plus this increase in housing growth that's going to push that growth rate to about 1,500.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, Bob. For the first one coming back to come out cruising, I know for some of our viewers it may not be as significant, but when you say 1,500 to 1,800 numbers of new students coming to our school district starting in August of 2021 here, I'm a little bit, I'm going to need to take a long vacation here.
Well, and you probably will be one of the fastest growing school districts in the state.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to need to go ahead and come back in sometime around September to see how these numbers pan out. But if construction and developments around here shows anything, I tend to agree with you now about that number. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, Bob, thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
Yes.
And you're the first one back
All
to
right.
the Come Out Cruising.
That's great.
So, all right.
I enjoyed it.
Appreciate it very much, Bob.
You're welcome.
Coach, I can't believe we've been shooting these commercials for 10 years.
Man, time flies.
Indeed it does. You know, one of my favorites is when they dump that ice water on you on the sideline. That was great. I think it was the middle of November. Oh, and remember when we turned a 300-pounder loose on you and he was knocking the silly out of you? Man, I can't wait to see what we're going to do this year.
This year's my pick.
Ferris Orthodontics.
That's what I'm talking about.
Release the sharks!
When you've got a big day ahead, rest easy knowing that your home is protected by GVTC Connect Home Security System. The Skybell uses a high-definition camera and speakers, letting you see and chat with who's at the door. Our Total Connect 2.0 app is your home security headquarters. GVTC Connect Home. Always on, always connected, always safe.
Tonight's broadcast on Rangers Network is brought to you by GVTC, Fisher's Neighborhood Market, Ferris Orthodontics, Sage Capital Bank, Wick Productions, HEB, Smoky Moe's Barbecue, Dermatology San Antonio, Summerhill Dental, and Jeremy Fuller State.
What you just witnessed is a classic case of Snack-a-Crack-a-Toothus.
The surprising moment when enjoying a tasty treat turns into months of restorative dentistry. Lucky for Coach Worstifer, at Summerhill Dental, we offer same-day crowns, and if need be, 3D guided implants to fight Snack-a-Crack-a-Toothus, one Ranger at a time.
Welcome to Slide Talk. I'm Andrew Kim, Superintendent of Schools for the Comal Independent School District. Joining me today is our CFO, Crystal Hermish, to talk about our voter-approved tax ratification election coming up in November the 2nd. So, Crystal, explain to me in very simple terms, what is a voter-approved tax ratification election?
So a TRE is required by the legislature anytime you want to raise your tax rate above the minimum tax rate.
Okay. So the increased tax rate would only affect the operating budget that we use to pay our teachers and staff. I hear that we actually have the lowest pay for teachers and staff in the area. Is this true?
This is true. Our first-year teachers, as well as our 15-year teachers, have the lowest pay compared to other districts in this area. Additionally, our bus drivers, custodians, and paraprofessionals are among the lowest paid. Over the last 10 to 15 years, employees received a 2 to 3% pay increase. But other years, the district relied on one-time bonuses for employees. So our compensation did not increase at the same rate as other districts in the area.
I see. So how are we going to fix this so we can keep bringing in great teachers to our school district while also keeping all of our teachers and staff here for our kids?
With approval of the VATRE, we are proposing our teachers and professional staff receive a 3% increase this year, and our auxiliary staff, such as bus drivers, custodians, and others, will receive a $1.50 per hour increase.
So with all the growth around here with students, we're adding 1,000 kids a year. As a result of that, more kids means more revenue. Shouldn't that be enough to pay our staff and teachers in a raise per year within our regular budget?
So the new funds generated by new students in the district is enough for us to hire the new teachers for those new students and to operate our schools, but it's not really generating enough revenue to also offer compensation.
I see. So it's one or the other.
Correct. That's the decision the district's been faced with lately.
Now, what I don't understand though is then as property values go up, because what I get asked a lot at the local grocery store is that, hey, you have a lot of new property now and you must have a lot of money. But what I'm hearing is that that's not the case.
No, that isn't the case. In fact, part of House Bill 3 that was passed in 2019 compresses the district's tax rate as those property values go up. So as values grow up in the district, the rate decreases and somewhat puts the district on a fixed income.
So you're telling me that the legislature basically has said that if you need more money to operate, especially for us because we have more staff, we have more teachers, we have to pay them better. If we want to do that, we have...
Kind of a strange first half. Smithson Valley on top as we begin the third quarter, 14-0. The Rangers, though, in the first half only had 73 yards of offense. They only had 3 possessions, one of them a 3-and-out, the other 2 short fields. Touchdowns from Derek Mata on a run and a pass to Dylan Domel. Meanwhile, the Bobcats just 19 yards of offense in a very strange first 2 quarters of play. Brant Freeman alongside Brian Hill, former Ranger quarterback, son of head coach Larry Hill, with you on this Friday night from South Sand Stadium. Rangers playing for a 7-0 start, would be their first in 8 years. Onside kick attempt fails badly by South Sand. Ty Roberts just about missed the entire ball.
Yeah, I don't think that's what they had in mind. But again, you got nothing to lose, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's obvious they were going to try to come out and do something, and so they tried a little onside kick, and kicker just mishit it a little bit, and even if he would have hit it correctly, it looks like they got offsides penalty anyway. So
I'm not even sure what the call is here. I've never seen that before.
yeah, it's got to be. Well, first it was offsides, and then I think it might have been illegal touching because technically he kicked it, it didn't go anywhere, and then he kicked it again. So I think they'll probably just mark off 5 for the offsides from the spot, and then.
So right now the ball is spotted at the South Sand 41. A lot of confusion on both sidelines right now. Bobcats go with a trick play to open this third quarter. Doesn't work. And Smithson Valley will have possession inside the 40. And there are 2 footballs out there right now. Derek Mata picks up the kicking ball from South Sand.
Yeah, South Sand's coach is arguing right now that, hey, that should have been an offsides and not a clear recovery, so we should be able to kick it again. Obviously, they would have tried to kick it deep with the element of surprise gone, but the Rangers got it, 30-yard line, short field.
Here we go. First play of the third quarter coming up. Here's Mata to Malachi Lane. To the perimeter, and Lane. Good run to open the third quarter is good for 10 yards. And a Smithson Valley first down on Lane's first carry of the night.
That's about par for the course for Malachi. He averages about 10 yards a run on the season, and so first run of the night he gets 10, pretty fitting. But there, again, Smithson Valley's kind of going back to those first two drives, line up two tight end sets and running that outside zone play and mashing them a little bit, and just trying to get the momentum back on their side a little bit.
Now first down near the red zone. Here is Mata. A screen set up for Kyler Clark. A good cut inside. And Clark slung down just outside the 10. Up to the 11-yard line as the Rangers move the sticks again.
That play we were talking about earlier, this is kind of what is considered an extension of the run game. A little hitch route out there. Receiver catches the ball at the line of scrimmage. That time he had two blockers out in front, including big body Domel. And a good move by Kyler on the one guy that wasn't blocked and picked up a first down and inside the red zone.
This just the Rangers' fourth possession of the game. First of the half, this is Malachi Lane. And Lane takes it down to the 5 to bring up second down. Malachi Lane involved in so many big plays this season. A blocked field goal, New Braunfels. A fumble return for scoring is Wagner. A blocked punt of that game as well. And almost had a block punt touchdown tonight, called back due to penalty.
Yeah, he's an all-around heck of a player. Obviously majors in defense, but obviously could be a running back as well. Who knows what he's going to be at the next level.
Clark in motion. This is Lane up the middle and in for the touchdown. Malachi Lane, 6th rushing touchdown this year. And Smithson Valley, a lightning-quick drive to take a 20-0 lead.
Physical play by the offensive line right there. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about the offensive line, first guy that stands out is big number 77, Colton Thomason. But there's some other guys on that line that are moving bodies too, and Stoley and the Freeman brothers and Stone. All those guys are getting a great push, and Malachi didn't have to make contact with anybody until about the goal line. So you know that they're getting good push when you don't even have to make your first cut or first contact until about the goal line.
Point after, no good by Amaya. It remains 20-0. Rangers on top. 10:08 to go in the third on the Rangers Network.
Coach, I can't believe we've been shooting these commercials for 10 years.
Man, time flies.
Indeed it does. One of my favorites is when they dumped that ice water on you on the sideline. That was great. I think it was the middle of November. Oh, and remember when we turned a 300-pounder loose on you and he was knocking the silly out of you? Man, I can't wait to see what we're going to do this year.
This year's my pick.
Ferris Orthodontics.
That's what I'm talking about.
Release the sharks!
Smithson Valley, a 4-play, 31-yard drive in 1 minute and 52 seconds. 6-yard touchdown run, Malachi Lane. Should note that dating back to last year, Smithson Valley unbeaten when leading at the half, 13-0. And now on top here, 20-0. As Amaya will kick off from the 40. Kicking into a 10-mile-per-hour wind.
Good opportunity to bloop it up in the air, let it hang. There it is.
Their catch is made. And that will put South San up to the 25-yard line on the fair catch by Moses Telez. So South San, Brian, in the first half, the strategy was clear. Shorten the game, bleed out the possession as long as you can and hope to score.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every single play got down under 5 seconds on the play clock. You could tell that was something that it wasn't just happenstance. It was something that was a game plan coming in. And even though they were down 14-0 at half, it was relatively effective, and that Smithson Valley only got 3 possessions. Obviously, they were aided by some penalties that Smithson Valley is looking to clean up here in the second half. A lot of their drives were extended on penalties, but nonetheless, you could tell that their game plan was shorten the game, limit the amount of possessions, and go deep into the play clock.
The two teams combined for more penalty yardage in the first half than total offense. Barone from the 30. And this is Orozco to the outside. Got hit by Colton Shepler. Also there was Wyatt Hanson after a 5-yard pickup.
Wyatt Hanson, number 23, on the stop for Smithson Valley.
Making about 4 on the play for Orozco. 10 carries now for only 16 yards. We've seen Orozco effective as a pass catcher. One of the 2 touchdowns the Bobcats have this year was a 56-yard score by Orozco as a receiver against Clemens. But here we go again with South San using a lot of time, a lot of play clock, one that they cannot see. Play clock's not working. Time is being kept by the officials.
And that should have been a penalty right there.
Second down, Orozco to the outside again. 3rd down and 4 coming up.
Yeah, I was kind of keeping mental note. The last tackle was made at 10 minutes and 3 seconds left. And then they didn't snap that one till about 9:11. So it was over 40 seconds. So I think the referees are being generous with when they're starting that play clock. It's supposed to start as soon as the whistle blows to end the play. But again, it's all on the referee now because none of the play clocks work. And so they're coming out in the second half with the exact same mindset as they did before.
Smithson Valley had issues getting off the field in the first half, but mainly because of penalties on 3rd down. Movement up front, and now this will turn into 3rd down and 9. South San Bobcats 0-6 on the year. Under second-year head coach Phil Barone. Smithson Valley 6-0. Under 29th-year head coach Larry Hill. So after the flag, 3rd down and 9, Bobcats at their own 30. Here's the rush. Barone completes. No, it's dropped on the play by Jaden Serta. 4th down for the Bobcats, and they'll likely punt it.
And again, great pressure by Gavin Woods. We were able to drop a lot of guys into coverage there because we're getting consistent pressure with just our front 4, and when they jump in their 3 down, just their front 3. And Gavin's been a big part of that. He was just beat the tackle on the edge and hit the quarterback right when he threw it, and he wasn't able to step into his throw and get much on that.
And so now South San, a pick your poison scenario here. Do you punt to Kyler Clark, 24 yards of return, or to Braden Bafidis, who has 2 punt return touchdowns?
I think they're hoping they get it off.
And the punt is away. Clark locates it, hit right away. Very good special teams tackle made there by the Bobcats. On the tackle for South San was Roger Zamora. As Smithson Valley starts at its own 34-yard line.
Yeah, good punt there. Had the wind behind him, got it up in the air, and it kind of made Kyler have to run backwards to go get that, and so he wasn't able to, catch it square and see the guy coming and make that first guy miss like you often have to do. He was running away from running backwards to try to get that, and so good play by South San's gunner.
And even 8 minutes to go in the 3rd. Smithson Valley in control, leading 20-0. Mata, quick pass. Good run after catch and a face mask after the catch by Bafidis, so tack on 15 more after a 12-yard completion.
He's explosive. Both him and Kyler, when they catch those little hitch routes, I'll tell you what, they go from 0 to 60 in a hurry. They hit that crease, and that time he beat the safety to the sideline. And the safety had to reach out and grab him by the face mask to slow him down. But again, those quick passes are extensions of the run game, and anytime you can catch them, you're hoping for 5 or 6. But you get an athlete in space, you can get even more than that, like Kyler and Braden.
Bafidis, not somebody heavily involved in the passing game. That was just his 4th catch of the year against such a commodity in special teams. And after that, about a 27-yard play there. And just like that, the Rangers back in South San territory. McCracken spilled over after a short game. I would say McCracken's been quiet tonight, but Brian, that's because Smithson Valley simply hasn't had the ball enough.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 out of their 4 drives, not counting this one, obviously the one right before half, they were backed up in a 2-minute situation, but the other 3, they've gotten the ball inside the 30-yard line, and so he's been effective, but at the same time, you're not seeing a lot of stats just because they haven't had long fields. This is the longest field they've had other than that one right before half.
False start, Smithson Valley. Up to 85 yards and penalties now for the Rangers. Moore and McCracken, 5 carries, that's it tonight. Last week at 14 in the win over Clemens. 5 carries, 22 yards for the Rangers' leading rusher.
Not sure what they called. They called false start or illegal procedure, but not everybody was even down in their stance yet, so I don't know how you could have necessarily false start, but I don't know.
7:05 to go in the third. Rangers playing for another shutout. They shut out the Buffaloes last week on the draw. Here is McCracken. And it takes 3 Bobcats to bring him down inside the 40, down to the 36. 9 yards there for McCracken.
Yeah, a couple times already in this game, you've been successful, like we just saw with that pass to Braden with the quick pass out. So this time Mata pops his feet around like he's going to make that throw again, and then hands it off on a draw to McCracken, and able to get those linebackers running out to their pass zones pretty quick. And so now you got a third manageable. That's the goal on 2nd and long, is try to get to third manageable.
Look for Tomel, top of the screen. The big target at tight end. Instead, a run by McCracken. Cuts it up to the 30 and close to the marker. And he's got it just enough for the first.
Great movement by that right side of the line. Again, that outside zone stretch play. McCracken's getting deep into the line of scrimmage before he has to make his first cut, and you know that the line's getting movement when you don't have to make a cut until you're at the line of scrimmage or deeper.
A drive that began back at the Ranger 34. Here is Mata, and the center got pushed over, Brett Stoley. This will turn into 1st and 5.
Yeah, mixing up the snap counts just a little bit, trying to, those guys maybe start timing it a little bit and getting a good jump, and so it's always good. Not necessarily looking for a penalty, although you'll take it, but also it's just kind of a memo to them, hey, we can switch up the snap count, don't try to time it, and also gives it a chance for the offensive staff to take a look at the defense and call a different play.
Past the halfway point of the third quarter. Smithson Valley looking for another scoring drive. This is their 5th possession of the game. Mata rolls and throws complete to McDonald. Out of bounds to the 12.
Yeah, they lined up in that jumbo package, 2 tight ends and a fullback with 1 tight receiver like they've done to run outside zone stretch so many times, and that time again they faked the outside zone. First 2 times they ran it, Domel was wide open. This time they covered that one, but the secondary route of the flood route was open with McDonald. Good throw on the run by Mata there.
2 other games happening in district tonight, or 3 other games, I beg your pardon. We'll get you updates later on in the broadcast. First down, Rangers just outside the 10. Mata will flip it, and this is Bafidis inside the 10. And Braden Bafidis into the end zone for the touchdown.
That little reverse where they pull an offensive lineman out there in front. Offensive lineman, I think that was Freeman. He was out there and kicked the corner out, didn't slow down. Corner made a miss, but let Braden pick away. And he actually got stopped right around the 1 or 2 yard line, and then a bunch of his buddies came in and kind of helped usher him the rest of the way into the end zone. It's nice to see Braden score without a penalty. He's had seems like a lot of touchdowns this year where unfortunately they've had a penalty on the field, so it's good to see him get one in on the offensive side of the ball.
Pulled after by Amaya, this time is good. Smithson Valley on top of the South San Bobcats, 27-0. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter on the Rangers Network.
What does the new Experience IQ do on the GVTC Wi-Fi app?
Check it out. I'll be the parent and you be the teenagers.
What?
Malachi, get off your phone and study your playbook.
Oh, man.
Nick, are you learning about Breeds of kittens?
Gosh, so what? I can't have any privacy?
Not with Experience IQ.
Miss Moore, what are you doing here?
Time to do your homework, Starfighter.
But
Nope, homework now.
I don't like Experience IQ.
Smithson Valley, a 66-yard scoring drive at the 5-minute mark of the third quarter. Braden Mafidis with his first offensive touchdown of the year. An 11-yard run on the jet sweep. And Smithson Valley up 14-0 at the half. Now it's 27-0 over South San. Amaya's ensuing kickoff. Short but fielded at the 14. And the returner will take it out across the 25-yard line. Roger Zamora talked about it, Brian. 3 other games happening in 27-6A tonight.
Yeah, we got some good ball games. Wagner's actually up on New Braunfels right now with 9 minutes left in the third. Wagner's up 22-14 in that game. A little bit of a surprise here. East Central at halftime. East Central was beating Judson 21-16. And then also at halftime, a low-scoring game between Steele and Clemens. Steele leads that one 7-0 at halftime.
Remember, Smithson Valley tied with Steele for first place in 27-6A. As South San takes over on offense, this is Barone. Junior quarterback is going to give it to Orozco. A good run across the 30-yard line is good for about 5. A lot of pushing and shoving towards the back end of that play.
Yeah, South San might have got away with a little bit of something there. Middle linebacker Colton Shepler got tackled and then laid down and shoved down and stuff there right in front of the referee, and I guess they're going to let that one go. But that one's pretty obvious from here in the booth.
Again, South San winless this year, winless a year ago. When district realignment happened, the Bobcats had to be very upset about being stuck in this district. Accustomed to playing in a southern San Antonio / Corpus Christi district. South San playing against the heavyweights now. Smithson Valley, Judson, Steele, New Braunfels, and that group as the Bobcats call for a timeout. They made the playoffs 5 times over a 7-year span from 2001 through 2007. They haven't been back since then. In fact, South San's overall record since 2007, 23 wins, 105 losses, with a district record of 8-73, never finishing above 6. And so they've had a tough time in lesser districts, let alone this one.
Yeah, and it's always kind of weird, you know, that they're one of the few schools that is kind of in their standalone school district, I believe. And so they're kind of an odd man out, and they just get plugged in. So there's not a whole lot of consistency. I mean, you know, like Smithson Valley knows, for the most part, they're going to be in there with Steele. They're going to be in there with Judson. They're going to be in there with New Braunfels. But South San's kind of standalone. Do we go south? Do we go north? And so hard to get consistency in opponents. But, yeah, they've they definitely drew the short straw getting into this district last realignment.
On second down and 4, Barone on the keeper. Barone close to the sticks here for South San will bring up third down.
Good job by Cameron Egley coming downhill from the safety position, and looked like quarterback was going to fall forward, maybe get enough for a first down there, but he stoned him right there about a yard short and drove him back, so going to bring up a third down here, 3rd and short.
Cameron Barone following in his dad's footsteps. His father, Phil, the head coach of this team, and once upon a time a player for South San. A graduate back in 2002. Cowbells out for the Ranger fans.
I don't understand why the white hat is resetting the.
A lot of flags as Barone takes the football across the 40.
They took about 30 seconds to just get in the huddle, and then the white hat made the signal to reset the play clock. I'm not sure why. There's about a minute between plays there.
And let's see the penalty here. Offside, Smithson Valley, first down, South San.
First down.
Winding down at 3 minutes to go in the third. Bobcats second, third quarter possession. And again, doing everything in their power to shorten this game. Now Barone under center. Option look here for the Bobcats. This is a run by Orozco. And moves forward for a couple to bring up second down and long. Talked about Coach Phil Barone, only 37 years old. Took over this job after he was the head coach at Burbank and grew up going to Bobcat games, later attending the high school and playing for South San himself, and called this a dream job when he left Burbank to take over and try to guide his team to his first win of the year. But down 27-0, his son Cameron pressured and taken down once more. Gavin Woods, another sack. That's going to bring up third down.
There he is, Gavin Woods again. Looks like good coverage down here by the corner. Montalvo looked like Barone wanted it raised up like he was going to throw a quick route down here. Montalvo did a good job of squatting on it, so then he had to go to a second and third reads and started scrambling. And you don't have that long with that Ranger D line of Gavin Woods.
Minute 30 to go here in the third. Again, the number of possessions in this game, you can almost count them on two hands. For South San, about 5 possessions. For the Rangers, they've had 4. Swing pass is low but caught. And there is Amari McKenzie on the tackle of Jorge Mendoza. Fourth down coming up for the Bobcats. And
great pursuit there by McKenzie. He's a linebacker running down an out route. Safety did a good job of making him cut back inside. Namar was pursuing, hustling. Looks like we got a South San player down.
Player down right in front of the Rangers sideline with 68 seconds to go here in the third. Player pops back up, and that was Matthew Gonzalez.
Interesting to see what they'll do here. Ball's about midfield. It's fourth and somewhat long, but again, you know, what do you got to lose? I mean, I guess they do have the win for another 1 minute and 8 seconds, so they got a chance to pin Smithson Valley deep. So looks like they're going to come out in a punt formation.
Ty Roberts again back to punt with Clark, and Bafidis back to return.
They got the returners lined up a little bit deeper than they did last time. I think they underestimated the wind and made Kyler have to run back to get that. They got him lined up a little bit deeper to hopefully catch it in stride and be able to make that first man miss.
Bobcats again, bleeding clock. And the punt block this time picked up. De Hoyos, touchdown, Smithson Valley. Special teams making another big play in this 2021 season.
Tell you what, De Hoyos is another one of those guys on that defense that is just outstanding in the secondary. Has been, started last year as a sophomore. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was the one that blocked it and then got it off the bounce and went and scored. And so, excellent play by him, very athletic play, and he's a heck of a playmaker too.
There was a penalty, but it was against South San and declined by Smithson Valley. Touchdown stands.
Anytime you can make big plays in the special teams, especially when you can score points in the special teams, those are, obviously this game's, getting out of hand just a little bit, but in closer ball games, special teams plays such a huge role. Anytime you get a big play like that, it's just feels like icing on the cake, bonus points.
Third blocked kick of the year for the Rangers, and they now have 4 special teams touchdowns. 2 punt returns, a kick return, and now a blocked punt return. Extra point good from Amaya. puts Smithson Valley on top 34-0 with 36 seconds to go here in the third quarter. We went through the Rangers' upcoming schedule. Now we'll look at South San. Who do the Bobcats have left? It's a tough 3-game slate. 2 road games left for the Bobcats and 1 left at home. Road games at Steele and at New Braunfels, hosting Wagner. And you figure all 3 teams will have something to play for from here on out in terms of the playoff picture.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before. I mean, how tough this district is from top to bottom, and you got to bring it every single night. It doesn't matter what the records are. Any team for the most part in this district can beat any other team on any given night. And so, and like you said, South San's going to be finishing with 3 teams that all have playoff hopes and playoff aspirations, and so they're going to be geared up and making that final push to see if they can make it to the big dance.
Phil Barone in his final 2 years at Burbank had a couple of 6-win seasons. First time that Burbank had back-to-back winning seasons in more than 50 years, and took that program to the playoffs in 2019. A Burbank team which hasn't had much success in the postseason, so Phil Barone turned that program around and trying to do the same here at his alma mater. Amaya with the kickoff. And that's going to bounce into the end zone for a touchback. South San will start at the 25. And there is a late flag thrown.
I didn't see what happened, but Smithson Valley guys are clapping.
Well, now a South San player just chucks the ball towards the Rangers sideline. You get the sense this is an unsportsmanlike penalty coming up.
Yeah, and you never want to see that. I mean, we've still got a full quarter left of football, and I know that there's some frustrations and things like that. But the main thing is you got to keep your head, get out of the game, make sure that we don't do anything silly, and get out of here healthy and make sure that we don't lose our cool.
Unsportsmanlike against South San. Bobcats now 70 yards and flags. The 2 teams have combined for more than 150 yards and penalties in this game.
Yeah, the refs got some pretty good stats tonight.
Final 36 seconds of the third quarter. Smithson Valley has put up 3 third-quarter touchdowns to pull away. First down, Barone hands off to Orozco, and he's gobbled up after a short 1-yard pickup.
My guess is they'll let this quarter run out.
Down to the final 20 seconds. Don't see a sense of urgency by South San. In fact, the Bobcats make their way to the other side of the field. And we'll make our way back to South San Stadium. After this, Smithson Valley at the end of 3 on top, 34-0 on the Rangers Network.
What does the new Experience IQ do on the GVTC Wi-Fi app?
Check it out. I'll be the parent and you be the teenagers.
What?
Malachi, get off your phone and study your playbook.
Oh, man.
Nick, are you learning about breeds of kittens?
Gosh, so what? I can't have any privacy?
Not with Experience IQ.
Miss Moore, what are you doing here?
Time to do your homework, Starfighter.
But I was...
Nope, homework now.
I don't like Experience IQ.
Fourth quarter underway. South San on second down just had a play blown up by Smithson Valley's defense on a pass attempt. Third down for the Bobcats, just underway, fourth quarter. Rangers on top, 34-0.
Yeah, they tried to run a screen there just before we came back on air. running back caught it, took about 2 steps, and with a big hit, made him fumble, but they called it incomplete. So now it's third and 5.
Barone on the quarterback keeper. And Smithson Valley all over that. That'll bring up 4th down, and the Bobcats will now have to punt into the wind.
Yeah, I mean, what adjustments is their punt unit going to make? I mean, Smithson Valley's already blocked 2 of them. One of them, and then another one would have been blocked if he hadn't have pulled it out of bounds for a 7-yard punt. So I think they're just hoping to get this thing off. Coach Worsty and his defensive staff do a great job in these block units and have multiple different looks that they give throughout the game. And so if you think you make an adjustment for one look, then here they come with another one. So
Roberts will use as much time on the play clock as he can. Low snap. Last punt was blocked. This one he gets off and fielded on the run of the 32. This is Bafidis. And tackled inside the 30. That's where the next Ranger drive will start, and it looks like Chase Sedelic might be coming in at quarterback.
Yeah, just going back to that punt right there, it doesn't look like much. I mean, he might have got 5, 6, 7 yards with that return, but it's a huge deal to have the courage to run up there and catch that short punt, because if that ball hits the ground, it's probably going to roll out another 15, 20 yards. And so he just saved about 15, 20 yards of field position, but looks like Mata's going to come back on and maybe get one more.
It is Sauce Sedelic, the first to meet the special teams unit after the return. So Mata back in there, wanting to throw on 1st down, and rifles a pass to Domel, and close to a 1st down.
Good little out route there. Had Domel in the slot, and again, he's a big body, and so even if that was a good ball right there, put it right on his body, and he's going to be able to kind of box out that defender a little bit. Just kind of ran a clear out by the outside guy, 10-yard out by Domel there. Got the quarterback on the move, and good balls. Now you got 2nd short. Can you take a shot or just run and get the 1st?
McCracken to the backfield here on 2nd down. It is McCracken up the middle. He's got the 1st and takes it all the way inside the 10 and down to the 9-yard line. There is a Bobcat down right near the massive right guard, Colton Thomason of Smithson Valley.
Yeah, Colton blocked him out of the play. It looks like there's 2 guys down. Colton blocked that guy and kind of finished on him a little bit and then landed on top of him, so hopefully he just got the wind knocked out of him.
Injury stoppage here for South San. And again, a reminder about the 27-6A standings. Smithson Valley tied with Steele for 1st place, both teams 3-0. The Knights were deadlocked in a tough game against rival Clemens. It was 7-0 Steele last we checked.
Yeah, I think they just scored again to make it 14-0 with about 9 minutes left in the 3rd. So they must have scored on their first possession to make it 14-0. East Central still holding the lead, about to start the 2nd half over Judson, 21-16, and Wagner's still leading New Braunfels, 22-17.
So again, you're talking about 5 teams fighting for the final 2 playoff spots. If you're to assume Smithson Valley and Steele claim the first 2, Clemens, East Central, New Braunfels, Wagner, and Judson all figured to be in the playoff race.
Yeah, and that East Central Judson game is huge tonight. Not just for a lot of people think it's a big game for Judson to see if they can get some momentum and maybe win a few games to sneak in, but East Central too. I mean, East Central, if they win that game against Judson, they've kind of put themselves in a position to control their own destiny to maybe get Coach Hubbard's team to the playoffs for the first time in a while.
2 Bobcats got banged up on the last play, Roger Zamora and David Lucio. And both making the way to the sidelines here.
Stand up and wave and be recognized. Bobcat class of 70.
As Smithson Valley goes back to work, trying to make it a 5th straight game with 40 points or more. Streak began for the Rangers with a 42-14 win over El Paso Eastwood. Mata 1st down to McCracken, who glides into the end zone for the touchdown. 5th straight game. McCracken has scored. A flag in the back end of the play again. But Smithson Valley has in fact scored 40 for the 4th straight game.
I don't know what it was, just some extracurricular activity there. I don't know what instigated. I didn't see it. But again, we just got to make sure that we finish out this game and make sure that we cooler heads prevail here and get out of this game with no penalties, ejections, injuries, anything like that.
And actually, 5th straight game. That's right. The Rangers have scored 40 or more now. 51 last week, 40 now tonight, and the point after coming up here for the Rangers. With 10:13 to go in the 4th. Again, this was a 14-0 game at the end of the half. Unsportsmanlike is called against the Rangers, and the Bobcats will offset.
Yeah, a lot of times when when they're not really sure what happened and they just see kind of a scuffle, they do offsetting if they're not 100% sure what happened. And I didn't see it, but must have been some pushing and shoving by 2 different people for them to call offsetting penalties there.
Point after, put in. 41-0, Rangers on top. We're back after this on the Rangers Network.
Coach, I can't believe we've been shooting these commercials for 10 years.
Man, time flies.
Indeed it does. You know, one of my favorites is when they dumped that ice water on you on the sideline. That was great. I think it was the middle of November. Oh, and remember when we turned a 300-pounder loose on you and he was knocking the silly out of you? Man, I can't wait to see what we're going to do this year.
This year's my pick.
Orthodontics.
That's what I'm talking about.
Release the sharks!
Last year, Travis McCracken led the Rangers with 7 rushing touchdowns. This year, he now has 9, and he's scored in 5 straight games. All 9 of his touchdown runs coming during this 5-game stretch. Last one good for 11 yards out. Smithson Valley on top, 41-0. So the last 2 games the Rangers have played, they have outscored their opponents 92-0, with a game against Judson looming this coming Friday.
Yeah, going back to McCracken, he's a very physical runner. Even though there's a difference between being small and short. He's not super tall, but he is well put together, and he's always going to fall forward, and every play is going to have a big collision in it because he's a one-cut back, and he gets downhill, and obviously he'll be the first to tell you great blocking by his offensive line, but it's fun to watch him stick his foot and get north and south and finish off those runs.
So Smithson Valley will improve to 7-0 this year. First 7-0 start since 2013. Barone on first down, and that play's going nowhere. Another tackle behind the line of scrimmage for Smithson Valley. That last tackle for the Rangers will set up 2nd down and long.
Yeah, got some new bodies in there, a little bit on defense, getting some guys in there, and that's good. These guys practice all week, and there's not much drop off there. These guys know exactly what they're doing. They practice, they work hard, and so the expectation is they still go out there and execute, and they did on that first play with a big tackle for loss, and you expect to see the guys flying around.
Andres Higuereta, last tackle there for the Rangers. South San trying to muster up some offense here in this 4th quarter. Orozco to the outside and takes it close to the 30-yard line. That's going to bring up 3rd down for South San.
Good pursuit there by linebacker, senior Chase Barker. They ran a little quarterback read, we'll call a power read, and that time the end closed, and so the quarterback left it with the running back on a sweep-type outside zone path, and good job by Barker running it down there and forcing a 3rd and 6.
Now inside of 9 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. Smithson Valley on top 41-0. Barone over the middle, threw behind an open receiver. Had Jaden Serta, but behind him, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Good job by the secondary over here. You got Zuber playing corner, and they kind of tried to fake a little hitch that Smithson Valley's been running, try to get the safety in corner to bite on it, and then throw a little skinny post in behind their head. That was a good job by the secondary over there, not falling for it and kind of staying home and forcing incompletion, and now fourth down, forcing a punt.
Typically see both Clark and Bafidas out there to return punts, but Larry Hill keeping Clark on the sidelines. So it is Bafidas, a man on an island. And the punt is away. Bafidas, the fair catch in traffic, muffs it at the 40. South San says they've got it. And I believe it's Bobcat football.
Well, we never got an official give a signal, but South San's offense running back on the field, and their guys are celebrating, so I guess they did get back on it.
Again, tricky wins. You saw Bafidas on the run and got a good 20-yard head start trying to field that punt and couldn't do it cleanly.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, he wants to catch the ball, keep it off the ground to keep it from rolling, but it's hanging up in that wind. He had to sprint forward, like you said, about 20 yards. That's a tough thing to do, catching one on the run while you're running full speed.
Orozco got lassoed by Eli Trowick, backup senior linebacker, with now 8:29 to go, and the Rangers again on top, 41-0. Smithson Valley led at the end of one, 7-0. At the end of the first half, 14-0, but scored 3 third-quarter touchdowns to pull away.
Yeah, a lot cleaner second half too. You know, not as many negative plays or penalties and stuff like that. And so, you know, when they started playing clean, that's when good things, you know, started to happen in bulk. And so they were able to pull away there. But a lot cleaner second half so far.
Derek Mata, touchdown pass to Dylan Domel. Also a touchdown run for the quarterback as Barone is gobbled up in the backfield for a sack.
Yeah, they had some confusion on that play, South San's offense did. They had a fullback pulling one way and a guard pulling the other, and they actually ran into each other right behind the line of scrimmage. And obviously neither one of them were able to get their assigned block because of that, and Smith Valley had a free rusher or two coming, so a little bit of confusion on that for South San's offense.
Malachi Lane also a touchdown run along with Travis McCracken. Braden Bafidas on a jet sweep, and David DeHoyas, a block punt, taken back for a score. Here's a blitz on third down, and Barone stacked up once again. You said it, Brian. Second and third teamers out there right now, but still playing very hard and overwhelming South San's tired offensive front.
Yeah, and this is, again, one of the advantages to Smithson Valley and a disadvantage to South San. You know, those guys, they don't have many backups. They don't have much substitutions, so as the game goes on, they're going to get tired. But Smithson Valley's got a lot of bodies, and those backups, like I said, they practice hard, and they're really good, and they want to get out there and prove themselves too, so you're the guys flying around.
Timeout taken by Coach Hill, and it comes with 6:49 to go in the fourth. So Smithson Valley, again, pitching a shutout in the game. In the second half, they've been very good defensively. Opponents have only scored 27 points total in the second half this year. And you know, Brian, that tells me that this Ranger defense just continues to wear opponents down as the game moves on.
Yeah, Coach Worsty and his defensive staff have done such an outstanding job with those guys. You know, a lot of those coaches have been here for 15, 20, 25 years. And so when you have that cohesiveness and everybody on the same page and running the same defense from the time you're in 7th grade all the way until you're up to high school, those guys are playing fast, they're playing confident. And so whether it's the first team, second team, third team, everybody knows what they're doing, and that allows them to play really fast, and it's fun to watch the guys flying around.
Remember, the last punt was muffed by Bafidas as the Bobcats are called for a delay of game.
I think they had 12 on the field.
Illegal substitution. There's the call from the head official.
You know, I still don't know about these white pants. You know,
brand new to the program this year. Typically, the road uniform is the Navy helmets, the white jersey, Navy pants. Brand new to the program this year.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in, I think maybe like 94, 95 before that. You know, they kind of went to the Navy pants, and ever since then, was joking around. I watched the first game on the Ranger Network when you and Coach Mooch were doing that first game, and I clicked on and I texted Coach Mooch. I said, hey, I logged on the Ranger Network, but it doesn't look like Smithson Valley's playing. See some white pants out there, but they look good. They look good. All white on the road, all blue at home. They look good. They still got that iconic stripe and numbers and keeping it simple and classy.
Kind of the Alabama navy blue look for Smithson Valley.
Yeah, and it looks good. I mean, it really does. It's one of the most, they're not going to change the design. They're not going to put stripes on. They're not going to do anything like that. And so it's kind of their style, and they always joke around that, hey, yeah, we're going to have throwback uniform, night. We have that every Friday night. And so it looks good. They added the white pants, and so all white on the road looks good.
Not as done for Derek Mata. Chase Sidlick at a quarterback. Rears back and throws for Kyler Clark. And a first down catch inside the Bobcat 40-yard line. You mentioned Coach Mooch, Joe Mooch-Agemba, longtime defensive coordinator, now joins us as a part of our Rangers Network coverage. He made the comment last week during the Clemens game, Brian, that this year's team has kind of that look to them. Maybe something special is brewing. You were part of so many special teams when you were a player at Smithson Valley. Do you get that same sense?
I do, and not necessarily because, there's obviously a lot of talented kids on this year's team, but what I like most about this team is how well they play together and how it truly looks like they are happy for each other's success.
Mm-hmm.
There's not just one guy that's carrying the team. There's not just one guy who's the workhorse. The defense all rallies around each other. They got some really good players, but they play well together. The offense, it doesn't matter who's playing, who's running, who's scoring, doesn't matter. All 10 guys are running down their sideline. So I really like the way that this team plays together, and they share in each other's success and don't really care who scores as long as we score.
On the run, Doug Lance. That's going to bring up second down and long. And Brian, one of the teams you're a part of was the 2005 team. Made it all the way to the state semifinals. One of your teammates, Andrew Sendejo, still playing in the NFL.
I know. He's a stud, man. He's, they always say the NFL stands for not for long, and so careers don't really typically last that long, especially for a safety who puts the body through a lot of hard contacts. But he's still doing his thing. Great guy, a great ambassador for Smithson Valley football, and I DVR now the Colts every Sunday just so I can watch him play, him and Trayvon, and keep up with those guys and record those games every week.
Trayvon Merrick-Woodard now with the Las Vegas Raiders, a first-round pick of the Raiders after playing college football at TCU. Sendejo was not highly recruited, ended up playing at Rice and actually had to outlast a few training camps and overcome some cuts early in his NFL career to carve out what has now been a 13 or so year career in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's just a tribute to him. I mean, wasn't highly recruited out of high school, ended up going to Rice, and then wasn't drafted out of Rice and just kept working, kept staying in shape, kept giving a chance. Any way I can help contribute, did a lot in the special teams and finally got noticed and ends up, having a heck of a career and starting for some teams and that made some playoff runs and still doing it.
Turnover on downs as Sedlick misfires for TJ Hunt. Bobcats take over with 5:07 to go in the game. It is 41-0 in favor of Smithson Valley. And then, of course, Brian, catching up with you, you went on from Smithson Valley to Houston and then later Texas State, part of a conference championship team in 2008. And after your playing days, got into coaching yourself.
Yeah, I was went to U of H and walked on there for Coach Briles. Then when he kind of left and went to Baylor, decided to get a little bit closer to home, play at Texas State, and was fortunate to be a part of some good teams there, and made some great friends and got to hang out with a lot of good coaches that I still keep in contact with today that I still respect. Coach Bush is head coach over at Seguin. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach whenever I was there, and Coach Brown is at UTSA now. He was the wide receivers coach whenever I was there. So keep up with those guys, and those guys are good. Great men and great coaches and still doing their thing.
You mentioned Travis Bush, who was at Seguin, now currently at Canyon. One of the sister networks that we have is the Cougars Network. You had a chance to cover one of Travis Bush's games recently.
Yeah, I did the Canyon and Dripping Springs game, and he's got those guys. Obviously, anytime you come in new and establish a new offense, new defense, things like that, it takes a little while to get the kinks out. But if there's anybody who can do it, it's him. He's not only a great football coach, but he's also a great man and a heck of an offensive mind. So he's going to get those guys going.
Bobcats here in the fourth quarter again trying to avoid the shutout as Barone is shoved out with 4:11 to go. Smithson Valley up next, the Judson Rockets. I've had so many conversations over the years with Larry Hill about that game. The two have played each other for so many times over the years. Refuses to ever call them a rival. Always makes a comment, whoever the opponent that week is the rival. But the Judson-Smithson Valley game is always one you really get up for.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it is a rivalry in the sense because a lot of people make it rivalries when there's two top programs who have had that consistency for so long, and it's always good battles. Very rarely does one team, blow the other one out. There's been some classics through the years, and so, Smithson Valley is going to prepare this upcoming week just like they do every single week. That nothing's going to change as far as their preparation. But yes, it's definitely a big game. Anytime you get to play another storied program in the San Antonio area, it's going to be a good atmosphere. And doesn't matter what the records are, it's going to always be a big game against Judson.
Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. Next Friday, a game we'll have for you in the Rangers Network. As Jaden Serta had the long catch on third down to move the chains there for South San.
Yeah, kind of an underthrown ball up into the wind, kind of a jump ball. Zuber was in good position. If it was a better thrown ball, might have had a chance to intercept it, but because it was kind of a shorter ball, throwing it against the wind, it kind of caught him off track, and the South San receiver was able to come back and make the catch.
And Smithson Valley, great penetration there again from the backup defenders. Orozco driven back for a loss to bring up second down and long with 3:22 to go. And Smithson Valley is that far away from its first 7-0 start since 2013.
Yeah, it's always good to, like I say, get 7-0, but I think most important thing is they're undefeated in district. And like you said, we talked about earlier how important it is to get that high seed. Not sure how it's going to shake out, who's going to be D1, who's going to be D2. 6A is unique in that they don't make that decision until we have the 4 teams solidified. But regardless, if you win them all, then you're going to be the top seed in whichever division you end up in.
Here's a blitz. Barone throwing deep, and again for Serta, trying to reach back and get it, and can't. Covered down the field, and that's going to bring up third down and long.
Again, kind of same type of deal. Zuber's in great position. Ball's a little bit underthrown, so he has to kind of backtrack, and it's getting blown around in the wind. That time he was able to stay in phase and make a good play on the ball, forcing incompletion, and got a third and long.
You mentioned non-district. Ranger wins came over San Antonio Warren, Madison, and El Paso Eastwood. And so far, the notches on the belt in district play, Wagner, New Braunfels, and Clemens, and now South San. Third down and long. Barone to Orozco on the run. Orozco slammed out of bounds near the Rangers sideline. Chase Barker, the tackle there for Smithson Valley, brings up fourth down.
Had Braden Garrett in there on the play too, as well as Zuber. A lot of Rangers flying around to the football. Fun to watch these guys play.
And it looks like Coach Hill will call for a timeout. That it comes with 2:15 to go in the game. Rangers on top 41-0. And we've mentioned the relationship, obviously, Brian, you have with your dad, Larry. Have to imagine a lot of football a lot of the time growing up and even to this day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's been obviously doing this for a long time and one of the best in the business at it. But that's obviously not everything that we talk about. He's also obviously a great dad, great husband, great friend to a lot of people, and just an overall great man, someone that myself and a lot of other people look up to. But yes, there's definitely a lot of football talk around the house, and especially when we get together with some other family.
Your uncle.
Uncle Glenn and
That's
Aunt
right.
Holly and all those. My grandma and grandpa, we're a long line of coaches, and so Thanksgiving, the Cowboys are on and we're talking football.
You didn't mention the Lions. They play on Thanksgiving too.
Yeah, we mainly watch the Cowboys in there, unless they're playing the Lions.
So waiting for the timeout to expire, but now maybe South San taking an intentional delay of game here.
I don't know why they would. The clock has stopped. Coach Hill called a timeout, not trying to score any more points, but I think he wants to be able to get that second group, third group of guys in that hadn't been able to get in this game, wants to give them a little bit of time so they could at least run 2 or 3 more plays and get everybody in the game. But I don't know what the holdup is now.
It's got to be something administrative right now. Coach Hill standing next to the head linesman. The head referee was standing in front of the punter, and now he'll go and talk to Phil Barone on the opposite sideline.
I bet you what it was is Coach Hill called a timeout, and the clock operator wasn't necessarily in tune with the game, and so he kind of let it run for a little while, and Coach Hill said, no, we called timeout so we can get our guys in the game, so they fixed the clock.
And they've added 19 seconds. There you go. 2:34 to go in the fourth. And one last possession perhaps coming up for Coach Hill's backups on offense.
Coach Hill telling his returners back there to fair catch it, so we're not going to get a return here. Again, we're not necessarily trying to score or run up the score or anything like that, but again, trying to get guys in the game. Those guys practice all week long. They practice hard. They deserve every chance to get in there too, and so that's what the purpose of calling that timeout was, not necessarily try to score again and run it up, but to try to get some guys in there and let them get some reps.
So again, Smithson Valley about to move to 4-0 in district play. We were keeping tabs on the Steele and Clemens game. Last we saw, Steele was on top 14-0. Both teams unbeaten in district play coming in.
Steele is still on top 14-0 with 7:30 left in the fourth quarter, and East Central just kicked a field goal to take the lead again, 24-22 over the Rockets.
This is Isaiah Vivians. Good run, and Vivians takes a hard hit after a first down pickup of close to 13 yards.
I'll tell you what, Vivians, I like watching him run too, and he's only a junior, so we're going to get him back next year, and he'll play an even bigger role next year. But when he comes in, when he's gotten the opportunities to come in late in these games, he's an explosive runner, and he's not somebody that's just going to run it up in there and get a yard or two. He's looking to, to get some chunks, and he's a playmaker too, and we're excited to have him back next year. He's only a junior.
Last week, Vivians, 58 yards and only 3 carries, scoring his first touchdown of the season. Fumbles the ball. It got away from him, and South San recovers.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was a bobbled handoff or whether he got it cleanly and then fumbled it, but it doesn't look like it was caused by a hit or anything like that. So it makes you wonder that if the exchange between the quarterback and running back that bobbled it there.
So perhaps one last chance for the Bobcats to prevent the shutout. South San has been shut out 4 times this year. Again, an offense which has only scored 13 points all season. A team that's down a lot of numbers, a 6A program. You look at the roster size, and again, Brian was counting bodies before the game, under 35.
Yep.
For South San, just really tough to win that way when you face teams that have 65, 70 players available.
Yeah, Smithson Valley's rolling their 2s and 3s out here right now, but a lot of these guys at South San, it's still a lot of their starters in there, not necessarily because they're trying to still score or anything like that, but they just don't really have backups. With only 32 bodies, these guys have to play the whole game. There's not a whole lot of guys that can come in and give them a break, and so you can definitely see that it's wearing on them, and they're tired, while Smithson Valley's got fresh bodies in there.
Ticking down to the final 90 seconds of this one. And the Rangers will move to 4-0 in the all-time series. Again, the two didn't play each other for a long time up until last year. Only other 2 games they ever played was in a home-and-home non-district series 20 years ago. Barone on second down, trying to find a lane to the outside. Barone, a good run. Just short of the 25-yard line.
Obviously his stats aren't great because the offensive stats aren't great, and the Smith Valley defense is playing really, really well. But I've been impressed with the toughness of their quarterback. He's taken a lot of shots tonight, run the ball a number of times, stood in there, delivered throws when he knew he was going to get hit, and he keeps popping up and hustling back to the huddle. So I've been impressed with his toughness tonight.
Final 45 seconds after a first down there for Barone. Only drama left is the shutout. Orozco inside the 15, inside the 10, to the end zone for the touchdown. And so South San capitalizes on the fumble and prevents getting shut out for the 5th time this year.
Yeah, it looked like that little quarterback power read play, defensive end closed, and so the quarterback left it with the running back, and this time we didn't have a linebacker out there that gap exchanged and scraped over the top and was there waiting for him. And he's got some speed. Once he got to the edge, had the angle, and got some points on the board for the Bobcats.
Francisco Orozco with the touchdown, his second this year. He has scored 2 of the Bobcats, now 3 touchdowns this season. Before the point after, the Bobcats call for timeout with 29 seconds to go. And again, if you look at this from South San's perspective, you get beat 41-0 for 3 quarters plus. You're trying to find something positive going into the following week. This is that positive for Phil Barone.
Yeah, it's something to build on and work on, and get a little bit of momentum. And I'm sure they're going to watch this film, and they'll dissect that play when it didn't work, and then when it did, and say, look, you did it correct. Here's what can happen when we do this, and good teaching moment, and maybe a little bit of confidence boost for those guys. And it's good, good they get into the end zone and get some points here on their homecoming night.
The only 2 teams now to score against Smithson Valley in the 4th quarter are New Braunfels and South San. And for the Bobcats, their first 4th quarter touchdown of the year. And now trying to make it 41-7. After the point after is Ty Roberts. Low snap, kick blocks, and the Rangers will let it go. So 29 seconds left, 41-6. Smithson Valley on top. Up next, the Judson Rockets, the first of a 2-game homestand. The Rangers will have had 6 home games this year and only 4 on the road.
Yeah, with El Paso Montwood agreeing to come here both years, typically you try to balance it to where you get 5 and 5. But we get 6 at home this year because Montwood came here 2 years in a row as part of the contract agreement. It's kind of hard to find non-district games around here. Not a whole lot of people, want to play Smithson Valley, and then also there's a lot of teams that that you could match up with, whether it be in district or in the playoffs, and so that eliminates a lot of potential non-district opponents. And so we're looking for something, and El Paso said we'll come there both years. We're just trying to look for a game, and so we said okay. And so this year it happens to be to where it gives us 6 home games and only 4 on the road.
Storyline to this game, again, a lot of Rangers have found the end zone. Touchdowns from Braden Bufitas, David DeHoyas, Travis McCracken, Derek Mata, Dylan Domel, and Malachi Lane. Bobcats got their late touchdown with 29 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Smithson Valley in the first half never got into a rhythm, only led 14-0. They only had the ball 3 times. South San has essentially played keep away in this game.
Yeah, penalty written first half there that kind of extended a lot of drives for South San, and and they were doing everything they can to wind that play clock down all the way to about 1 second, sometimes maybe even more than that, and trying to limit the possessions, and it worked pretty well in the first half, but pulled away in the second half.
Short kick, fielded, and a knee taken by Bufitas at the 30. And so the Rangers probably run one more play here before the game winds down to a close, as they are 29 seconds away from that 4-0 start to district and very close now to clinching a playoff berth, which again in this 27-6A is not a given.
Absolutely not. I mean, that's one of the goals they make before the season. If I remember correctly, it's have a winning season. They've already accomplished that. Make the playoffs, which, like you said, is something which is, in some other districts that might be kind of a foregone conclusion with the caliber of team that Smithson Valley is, but not in this district. Then make the playoffs, win the playoffs, and win a state championship. And so they've might have clinched that second goal tonight.
Vivian's into the open field, trying to make amends for the fumble. Vivian's lassoed inside the 20. All the way down to about the 14-yard line.
He's explosive, especially when he gets in the open field. He's going to be fun to watch. next year. Like I said, only a junior.
56-yard run, Isaiah Vivians. Game clock stop with 19 seconds to go. It will restart when the sticks are put back down. And let's see if the Rangers run any more plays. Both teams bringing in personnel here, so maybe the Rangers do in fact run a play.
Well, every South San coach is on the field over there. I don't know why the clock hasn't started.
And there it is.
Clock still hasn't started.
And this is Vivians, got tackled back at the 15. And finally the clock has restarted, and that will likely end the game. And so Smithson Valley, for the first time since 2013, is 7-0, unbeaten in 27 6A play as they finish off the South San Bobcats 41-6.
Yeah, overall, a lot of things to take away from this game. Obviously, getting the win is good. Anytime you can win in district is a good thing, but obviously a lot to clean up. You know, a lot of penalties in the first half. You know, uncharacteristic. You know, Smithson Valley's kind of mantra is don't beat yourself, and that first half had a lot of things that extended drives and a lot of penalties. So clean those up heading into these last couple games, but it's good, always good to get a district win.
All right, Brian, a pleasure working with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Enjoyed it. Anytime I get to watch the Rangers play, it's a good thing.
That's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from South San Stadium. The final score in this one, Smithson Valley 41, South San 6. On behalf of our entire Wick Productions and Rangers Network crew, and for Brian Hill, I'm Brain Freeman saying good night from South San Antonio.